Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, May the 4th. We have a great show planned for you tonight. Tonight's topic I've been wanting to do for a long time, but now is really the time to do it. And this show will be about mind control, kind of learning about some of these programs that the government have put out. So we're going to go into what is actually mind control, some of the signs and symbols of mind control, and a couple of other things. So I'm really excited about that tonight. I am going to bring in my co-host. Let me see if I see Brother Wendell. I don't think I see him yet. Okay, I'm not seeing him, so I am going to bring on Brother Sean. Let me get Brother Sean here. Hey, brother, how you doing?
All right, yourself, beloved?
I'm good. Good deal. Good to hear your voice. Very good to hear your voice. Okay.
Likewise.
Okay, Brother Wendell, I don't see you in the queue. In case I'm missing you, just press 1 to come up to the top of the queue. Okay. All right, Brother Sean. So before we jump into the mind control thing, did you have anything that you wanted to discuss, any activities that went on this week? I haven't been doing the news over the last couple of weeks because they really ain't been talking about shit, to be honest. It's kind of been...
It's the same old.
Exactly. It's the same old. I mean, the only update that I really have that they're not really talking about, but Puerto Rico did officially go bankrupt today. Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. But I had read a financial article a couple of weeks before they went bankrupt that the investors were lining up to pretty much put their dibs on the assets. So, I mean, what you gonna do? It is what it is. And the U.S. court, as they always do, they did the debt ceiling extension. I think they did it until September this time because they were supposed to shut down last Friday. So those are really the two only updates that I have. The rest of the stuff, like we talked about, it's pretty much the same shit.
And it's all leading up into what tonight's topic is about.
Exactly. Exacto. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's talk about mind control. I always like to start with the basic definition of what it is. So when I put in mind control in Wikipedia, y'all know I always start with that as the basis because I like to see what they bullshit ass definition is, because a lot of times they tell on themselves and you know their explanation of stuff. So now I put in mind control. Wikipedia directs me to brainwashing. So I'm like, I thought that was funny. I'm like, okay, see, y'all telling on yourself. But anyway, brainwashing, also known as mind control, miticide, coercive, persuasion, thought control, thought reform. Isn't that interesting? Thought reform. There goes sis. And re-education. Let me bring you in, sis. Hold on a second. Okay, here's 661, sis. I think this is you.
Yes,
greetings.
It is me.
Hey,
how you,
sis?
Greetings, sis.
Greetings.
Greetings to both of you, and Wendell too. Whenever he gets on there.
I know. So, Wendell, if you in the queue, you gonna have to press 1 because the line is kind of long, so I may not see you when you come on. So I don't see them on the boards yet. Okay. So let me go on. Unless you have something to say, sis, before I go and read their definition of mind.
No, I'm on this topic, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and do your thing.
Okay. So I'm gonna read their definition. So they're saying brainwashing, also known as mind control, menticide, coercive persuasion, thought control, thought reform, and re-education. Now, this Wikipedia's motherfucking definition. I ain't even making this up. I know, that's deep. Is the concept that the human mind can be altered or controlled by certain psychological techniques. Brainwashing is said to reduce its subject's ability to think critically or independently, to allow the introduction of new, unwanted thoughts and ideas into the subject's mind, as well as to change his or her attitudes, values, and beliefs. So it goes on to say the concept of brainwashing was originally developed during the Korean War to explain how Chinese captors appeared to make American prisoners of war cooperate with them. Scholars also looked at Nazi Germany and at some criminal cases in the United States. The concept of mind control was later expanded and modified by psychologists including Margaret Singer and Philip Zimbardo to explain conversions to some new religious movements. This resulted in scientific and legal debate with Ellen Barker, James Richardson, and other scholars, as well as legal experts, rejecting at least popular understanding of the concept. Other views have been expressed by scholars including Dick Anthony, Robert Cialdini, Stanley A. Dietz, Michael J. Freeman, Robert J. Lifton, Joyce Merleau, Daniel Romanowski, Kathleen Taylor, Louis Jolin West, and Benjamin Zablocki. The concept of brainwashing is sometimes involved in legal cases, especially regarding child custody, and is also a major theme in both science fiction and in criticism of modern politics and corporate culture. However, in the view of most scholars, it is not accepted as scientific fact. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm not going to go on and read it. They're going to kind of go into some of the programs. Actually, what's interesting about the Wikipedia definition, they do talk about how they used it in the Korean War, and they have a very snippet on CIA and mind control program, and we're going to get deep into that shit tonight. And a short paragraph on Nazi Germany using mind control. So if you want to check out that full definition, you could definitely go to, Wikipedia. But I did want to start with that. Okay. So what I have for us tonight is let's talk about some of the signs and symbols of mind control. Mind control really in our culture today, it is done overtly, meaning out in the open, and then it's also done covertly. You see it in music. You definitely see it in the media, meaning movies, etc., etc. Even on down to the actual American culture itself. Okay, but the concept of mind control is literally, definitely scientific. They have done experiments cracking the code of the mind. And so, I know some of you have heard of the programs that they have like MK Ultra and Project Phoenix. So we're going to go into that and Project Artichoke. So we're going to go into some of those tonight. But I do want to get into the signs and symbols of mind control. Okay.
Can I?
Now, sorry. Go ahead sis. Go ahead.
I was listening to a program yesterday, Jeff Rentz, and he had a guy.
I got him tonight.
On Tompkins. Tompkins was, I think his name was Tompkins, and his daddy said that in the 1920s they were using it in Hollywood or Hollyweird, if
Hollyweird.
Yes. Every time that people would go to the movies, they would have those subliminal messages. So when Clark Gable was an actor back in the day, they even had it then. So they blame it on Germany, but they developed that stuff here in this country.
Absolutely they did. Absolutely they did. And let's talk about Hollywood. Now, within itself, that whole concept of Hollywood is all about mind control, and they also use a lot of metaphysics science in everything that they do. Now, they may be using it in a perverted way, but you best believe that they are definitely using it. Just for the fact, let's just break down Hollywood. Okay, even that particular term, they are real. Some people are saying that they're talking about Holywood. I think they're talking about, and I've heard someone else use this concept. It could have been Brother Panic, where they're really talking about a magic wand. Okay,
the Holly bush or something. Exactly,
the Holly magic wand. So that's really, really what they're talking about. So anybody that's seen the cartoon Fantasia, you would see Mickey Mouse doing a lot of metaphysics with this wand. So same concept. So even the name itself, Hollywood, they're using it to cast spells upon the public and upon the folks that are involved with Hollywood. Okay, so we're going to get into that as well. A lot of the folks that is involved in Hollywood, the music industry, and I finally saw Get Out, and so I'm going to break down Get Out, and I just did a couple paragraphs on it. I don't need to do no show on it. A bunch of folks did a show on it, but it's so tied into this show. So instead of dedicating a whole damn show to Get Out, because everybody and their mother has broke that down, I wanted to incorporate that into the show. So let's start with some of the signs and symbols of mind control. Alter egos. So meaning victims of mind control, or that are under the mind control spell, or that have been broken. Once they have been broken to the point, and when we say broken, I want us to be precise. When we say broken, that means that person's subconscious mind, not subconscious, their conscious mind is now under the control of someone else. And they are so deep under that spell that they literally create another alter ego personality. All right. Now, some people say it's like a split personality. Those of us that's, we've been around for a little bit. I was a little girl when it came out. But remember the movie Sybil? And they talked about her multiple personalities. Well, here's the messed up part about it. We are seeing this shit today.
Right.
Look at all of your top pop star entertainers. All of them motherfuckers have alter egos. Beyonce have Sasha Fierce. Nicki Minaj, her alter ego is so damn scary. It just trips me out that people don't see it right in their face. Hers is Roman. Damn, what's the last name? I forget the last name, but she's trying to say that he's like this evil priest. But when I did some research on this shit, her alter ego was really a spin off of the Hollywood guy Roman Polanski, who outed that whole secret society and how they did the rituals. So if you think about all of the, and they're just to name a few of the Hollywood folks that kind of make it like, oh, this is cool. I'm so into my craft that I have an alter ego. Yeah, right. That's what they may say. But the actions and other things that they do show totally different, okay? So that's what an alter ego is. It symbolizes the complete breaking of the conscious mind into split personalities. Also, that you'll see signs and symbols of mind control, the butterfly, specifically the monarch butterfly. And we'll talk about that when we get into Get Out, too. The symbol of the monarch butterfly in the mind control, folks that are under the mind control, that is the symbol of the transformation of the mind control victim programming being complete. So meaning, as they were going through the mind control brainwashing process or being programmed, they were in the cocoon state. So once they are fully programmed, that symbolizes the monarch butterfly, meaning transformation. And anytime you see on a spiritual level a butterfly, that always means transformation, okay? Handler. A handler in a mind control program is the person who is responsible for making sure that the mind control victim stays on script, okay? Or in other words, sticks to their programming. This can also be the person that initiates triggers, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, now some say that Beyonce's handler is Jay-Z. Okay, some said that Britney Spears, who had a motherfucking complete meltdown in her programming, was one of her managers. Okay, some say that Kanye West is handler is Kim Kardashian. Okay, so that's what the handler's job is. Another signs and symbols of mind control. Alice in Wonderland. That particular, cartoon or fairy tale is used to symbolize the altered states of mind control programming. So meaning, as they are programming the victim, messing with their conscious mind, and they're really trying to take over that subconscious, and they really kind of numb that subconscious mind, but they have total control of the conscious mind. Alice in Wonderland represents the different realms of the consciousness that they are controlling. And so that's what that term, how deep does the rabbit hole go, okay? Mm-hmm. So you will see this if you pay attention to especially the music videos. You will see a lot of references to Alice in Wonderland. Sex is also used as it's one of the signs and symbols of mind control. Sometimes it's used to break a victim into the programming. It can be used as a form of controlling the victim. And sex is also used big time in their rituals. So meaning them using the metaphysic science through sex. Okay, and a lot of times the women, we can't even say not even the women now because they're doing it to the damn men. They'll use them as sex slaves. Okay, and that's what that whole Pizzagate shit is that they're talking about, that sex scandal with the children. A lot of that, sure, a lot of it is perverts, but a lot of that stuff is rituals that these sick-ass people are doing to get energy off of people, and especially when you have child stars coming up in Hollywood or the music industry, they use sex to break these children in to start that programming pattern. Okay. Another sign and symbol. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, brother.
The thing is, sex is the second most powerful magic behind love.
That's true.
And they just happen to be using it in a corrupt way.
In a corrupt way. Absolutely.
And the programming, actually, they're attacking the youth because actually they're the most powerful. They just recently left the spirit realm.
Exactly.
So the attack is actually beginning in the womb. You use the term cocoon as far as for the monarch butterfly, but it begins in the womb with the programming that the mother is underneath. The vaccines and the shots that they're giving the mother, attacking the pineal gland. They destroy your defenses first before they can reprogram you.
Very good point. And the vaccinations, damn good point. Because the vaccinations would help you take to the programming a lot better. So that's a very, very good point. I think I see Brother Wendell. Let me bring him on just a second. I just so happened to look down. Brother Wendell, you there? Uh-oh. Brother Wendell, you there? Okay, he must not hear me. Okay, Brother Wendell, you just press 1 to come to the top or when you ready to get on. Okay, yes, very, very good point, brother, about sex, which makes sense why they would use it so much, because you're absolutely right. It is a very powerful tool in the spiritual world. Okay. Another sign and symbol of mind control is leopard print. Now, this may sound crazy, but pay attention. Normally, when you see these super pop stars doing print ads or whatever, and they're dressed seductively in leopard print, and it's normally the female artist, that is one of the symbolisms that particular female artist is a sex kitten or sex slave. Okay, and then another symbol is if you see them dressed in like tight black leather trying to emulate or symbolize the cat, like cat sex slave, and Barbie doll, trying to emulate that Barbie doll image. That's also a sign of a sex slave. And ideally, that is one of Nicki Minaj's alter egos as well. Okay.
You can't forget about the bunny.
Oh, I forgot about the bunny. That was what's her face in them? Hugh Hefner and them ass. Yeah, yep, and the bunny dressed as a bunny. So you know the term "fucking like a rabbit." Same concept. So absolutely.
It's kind of funny that the guy Tompkins was talking about the fact that back in the day, in the Hollywood, they would always buy the women the clothes that they wanted them to wear.
Mm-hmm.
They were very expensive clothes, but they always, it was like some with mini skirts or whatever kind of the dresses they wanted the beautiful starlets to wear. They would buy it. And so since you put it that way, they use clothes for that. They did it back then, too.
Yeah, that makes sense because we know today if you think that these artists dress themselves, they don't.
Mm-mm.
They have stylists. If you think these artists make these videos or come up with these video concepts themselves, they don't. Rarely that they do. And a good example of that, the Jacksons, when they did their album, I can't think of the little album, but they was grown. But y'all know what song I'm talking about. The song is called Torture. I can't think of which album it was. I can't even remember which album it was. But anyhow, it's a great article on and a good source for mind control information is the Vigilant Citizen. They did a very good article on that torture video, and they broke down all of the sick ass shit in the video because it's a freaked out video. The Jackson's brothers, they never wanted the video because they thought it was just too much for them. They saw the satanic stuff. And anybody that knows the Jacksons' upbringing, they grew up as strict Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, so anyhow, they had so much sick shit in it that Michael refused to participate in it. So they used a wax figure in the video for him. So my point being, if you think that these artists come up with these concepts, you better think again. And let's say that even if they do come up with the concepts of the video, you better believe that the folks that are pulling the strings, they still put the symbols and signs that they want in there to let the secret societies know, oh yeah, this is one of our puppets. So we're going to talk about that a little more. We talked about the leopard print. Another sign and symbols of mind control is and imagery in itself, this secret society shit. Anytime you see artists or any public figure standing on a checkerboard, or they have stripes on, or black and white. Okay, let's start with the checkerboard. Checkerboard comes straight out of the Masonic temple. That is literally the floor of the Masonic temples. Okay, the black and white stripes, or just black and white imagery, period, that represents duality. Okay, so that is what they're showing you. The checkerboards, they're showing you that this person is a part of the Masonic order. Okay, and matter of fact, all of these award shows they do, the Grammys, all of them, 99.99% of the time, they perform a ritual involving one of the artists. And usually the artist that they are performing the ritual with, it is to initiate them into some type of order. And they got a whole bunch of YouTube videos. You can go back and look at it and see, you'll see the women in the red dress or the women dressed up as the kittens, or you'll see folks in black and white, stripes, all of that. So you can go look that stuff up, because they claim that when Kanye supposedly had embarrassed Taylor Swift and said that Beyonce should have got her little song, they said that was Taylor Swift's initiation into the higher order. And so, Taylor Swift had on the red dress, and she was standing up there devastated, this, that, and the third. But Taylor Swift's career took off. She got into like that next level of stardom. So that's what some people are claiming. That was her particular initiation, because a part of their initiation into that higher order is a form of humiliation also. Okay, but that's a separate story. But that's what's up with the checkerboard. Another thing that you'll see in a lot of these signs and symbols of mind control, you'll see the all-seeing eye. So that's, shaped in the pyramid, and you'll have an eye in the middle, or you'll have it shaped in the pyramid with the pyramid split off, with the top part of it small with the all-seeing eye. So meaning the all-seeing eye is over all of the bottom tier of the particular pyramid. You catch that all-seeing eye in a lot of movies. You'll catch a lot of artists wearing it on their clothes. You see that all-seeing eye on a lot of things. And another thing you'll see, how these artists that are participating in these secret societies and they are part of the mind control programming, is you will see, I would say most of all of the top artists will take pictures covering their left eye. Okay, so they're representing the all-seeing eye. I mean, literally all of them you see doing this. So that's an occult symbol for Ra, and it's representing, again, the secret society structure of hierarchy. Another sign and symbols of mind control that you will see in the media with these entertainers, I also see it in political figures and top CEOs of companies. When they are taking these pictures, and usually it's like they're standing there and the camera, they're taking the picture aiming above the particular artist or whoever, they're standing in a circle, okay? But they're standing in a circle within a circle within a circle within a circle. Anytime you see imagery of a circle within a circle within a circle, they are telling you this is the structure of their particular secret society, okay? So these particular people had to be initiated through the ranks based on how far they allow them to go up. So the closer to the inner circle or the middle circle that they get means the higher their order. Okay, so that's what that means when you see these political figures, entertainers or whatever, standing inside circle within a circle in a circle. All right, other signs and symbols of mind control are mirrors. Okay, now you'll see artists either taking a picture, looking at a mirror. Sometimes the mirror may be shattered. Sometimes you'll see them looking in the mirror and it's a figure standing inside of another figure standing inside of the mirror. That is classic sign of mind controlling programming. Okay, now let's start with what mirrors really mean. And we've talked about this before on this show. mirrors, especially real old school mirrors, can really be gateways into other dimensions. Okay, so anybody that's very comfortable with I don't want to say time traveling, but astral traveling, when you sleep, sometimes you'll see yourself standing in front of a mirror. That just means you're using that mirror as a gateway to go to another spiritual dimension. So that's what the concept of mirrors mean. Or you'll stand in front of a mirror in front of your dream, and you'll see yourself transform into something else. Your hair color changes, whatever. That mirror represents a gateway into other dimensions. Same thing that they're using the mirrors for, but this time they're using it to say we are into this particular person's conscious and subconscious mind. When you see that artist and they are looking in the mirror and they have someone else inside the mirror, that means that alter ego has been created. If you see the artist looking in the mirror and it's shattered, that means their programming is complete. So meaning we have cracked that conscious mind. We've totally taken control over it. So that's what the concept of mirrors. And again, you can look at many videos and you'll see many artists doing videos concerning mirrors, looking in the mirrors. That's why those mirrors are so important. As a matter of fact, I think it's a soap company. They just did a commercial. It's a badass commercial too, because the lady starts in her room and she's got like a floor mirror, and she walks through the mirror, and then she's in another room. And she just keeps going to these different rooms, and all that means was she was going to different dimensions. I can't remember. I think it's a soap commercial, but it's out now. So when you catch that commercial, you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's the importance of mirrors. Now, to trigger the mind control, the victim that has totally been shattered, their conscious mind has been taken over, their subconscious mind is frozen, they'll use triggers. And so those triggers, they could be words, they could be symbols, they could be codes, and they can be used to control the victim, either to make them perform specific actions, or if that particular victim was getting ready to get off script, they'll use these triggers to get them back on script. Okay, so think of the movie Manchurian Candidate. Now, there's a back in the day one, the original one. I think Frank Sinatra was in that one. And then the up-to-date version one was with Denzel Washington. Okay, so you'll know what I'm talking about, because that particular movie is an excellent source for mind control. Okay, so I'll pause right there in case any one of you want to put something on it before we move on.
We know William Cooper in Behold the Pale Horse. He did a lot of exposing of the way they did controlling people's minds back in the day. And then you get the one by David Icke, and he was talking about words they say, or they may have a phone ring, or like in the Manchurian Candidate. Phone ring. But they say because they found it out because there's two sides of the brain. It's the left side, which is the part that sees everything, do everything, but it's the right side of the brain, I think they said, was the subconscious brain. And they can speak to the subconscious brain when you're not even aware that they're speaking to it. So, and they said that was the right side. But they had a lot. William Cooper had a lot of information on how they were experimenting with people. And I also hear that our leaders have handlers, and they may not be of this world or this dimension.
Yeah, that's true. That too, I've heard that also.
Yeah, who is telling them what to do. So if you think the world is crazy, it is, because different dimensional beings, they say, are controlling these people. And they are, this guy, Tompkins, I think that was his name, he was a Nordic descent. Well, if you look at the Nordics, according to Russia, they landed in a spaceship. Those are 10-foot tall aliens that landed in Russia. So, when people's minds are going to get blown, understand it's not all of this world people who are dictating the shots on this planet.
Right.
And that's the point that a lot of people need to understand. Because if you don't understand that you're not by yourself and you believe everything is all you, then you miss the point.
Right. Right.
And you need to stay open.
Absolutely. Let me bring in Brother Wendell, and then Brother Sean, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to put something on it. Brother Wendell, I'm going to try this. What the hell? Okay. Brother Wendell, you there?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Brother?
All right. I don't know, man. You got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde going, ain't you?
Oh, you talking about with the alter egos?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, and you know what's the fucked up part about it now? The Beyonce stuff. Somebody captured a video of her at one of the basketball games. I don't know which one it was, because I know Jay-Z got a cut in one of the teams. So I can't remember if it was the Knicks game or the other team he got a cut in. But anyhow, she was there on the floor seats, her and Jay-Z. She's sitting in that damn chair, just zoned the F out, rocking back and forth. It's like her conscious mind was not there. And so she was so out of it, Jay-Z was kind of turning around looking at her like, oh, shit, her programming breaking down. So, and she's not the first one. They caught where Al Roker was on the air.
He just
the
froze.
Little weatherman. Yeah, did you saw that? He just fucking froze. And the way he froze, he looked like a robot. And I'm like, oh, my God. So it's literally like that's where these people's programming kind of gets off a script. And someone has to either do one of them triggers to bring them back on. Sometimes they have a complete breakdown. And that's what some say happened to Kanye. Britney's show went batshit crazy. Her programming broke down. And a lot of other of those Hollywood stars, they said that's what happened to Mariah. Her programming broke down. So absolutely.
And then they can turn you off. They like they said purportedly did to Bernie Mac. When he started getting a little wild and they couldn't control him, they can cause pain in you and cause disease to set in, and then they can turn you off.
Well, it certainly would not surprise me.
They make you have an aneurysm and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, make you ill and dead.
Stroke out, yeah. That's true. Brother Sean, did you have something you wanted to put on it before we move on?
Yeah, because it also has to do with the delivery system that the celebrities are using, the music, the frequency at which it's broadcasted at, the frequency in which the television programs are broadcasted at. They're all low frequencies. And that's the same with disease. I mean, that's why they can target specific organs to cause certain things to happen. And all they have to do is bombard it with a low enough frequency.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with, I have a video. This is a kind of an introduction. This one's only like 2-something minutes, but it's going to go into also what we just covered. It's called Trigger Words and Symbols of MK Ultra, Dual Programming Mind Control, MK Ultra Victims Glitch. And so this was off of a YouTube channel called Night Terror. So I said that, but I should look for the damn video first, because you know how that be happening. Although I've checked it throughout the week, but let me see if it's on here. Okay, my mind control stuff. And of course, I can't find that one.
You know they got to mess with something.
Yeah. I mean, my shit magically disappears. Although we can jump to the other ones. I see the other ones out here. LM. Okay. All right. I can't find that one. All right. Well, we're going to move on to the other one. And this talks about mind control, MK Ultra mind control. So, I mean, they deleted a lot of stuff. Wow. And I just looked at this earlier today, mind you, to make sure it was on here.
You know, Google always up to something.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I got the first one, Night Terror Triggers Words and Symbols. So this one isn't long. It's about 6 minutes long, and then we'll come back and chop it up.
Beginning in the 1950s, chosen citizens of the United States have been used as guinea pigs in secret experiments without their knowledge or consent. This was funded by the CIA, but the illegal research was conducted by American universities, American pharmaceutical companies, and American hospitals. The project was known as MK Ultra, and it was terminated in the 1970s. Or was it? One of the goals of MK Ultra was mind control. Through a combination of hypnosis and hallucinogenic drugs, along with torture, a human being can be programmed to do anything. When the human subject is activated by pre-hypnotic suggestion, the deeply planted programming takes control, and the subject then executes a mission in secret. When the mission is complete, he will have no memory of it. The pre-hypnotic suggestion is also known as a trigger. The sleeper agent is activated by his controller or handler. The handler may use a trigger word or trigger symbol, at which point the unwitting subject becomes a robotic slave, also known as an alter, that is, an alter ego. The trigger may be delivered in person or over the telephone, radio, or TV. The abundance of media in today's world has revealed many things that were once hidden. Body cams record police brutality. Car cameras record freak highway accidents. Oddball news reports from obscure local stations all over the world are permanently archived on the internet. Sooner or later, the very commands used by MK Ultra handlers were bound to be captured on record. The White Rabbit is a symbol borrowed from Lewis Carroll's Alice, who followed a white rabbit all the way to Wonderland. We know this term represents the handler, who gives the sleeper agent the ability to access a consciousness within them, which is normally submerged. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is not only a song written by John Lennon, it also represents the highest reward in Jules programming. The first compensation is amethyst, for being able to keep a secret. For sexual submission, the reward is ruby. For loyalty, the subject is compensated with emerald. Diamond is the reward for completing one's first mission successfully. In 2002, there was a series of Beltway sniper attacks in Washington, D.C. 10 people were killed in our nation's capital, and the 2 men responsible were brought to justice. No one knows the words that provoked their homicidal spree, but the killers were apparently deactivated by a television broadcast, when during a news conference, the Montgomery County Police delivered the 6-word trigger phrase, like a duck in a noose. This phrase originates from a Cherokee folk tale in which the duck is hunted by a white rabbit. The word smile, or its symbolic equivalent, the happy face, induces an LSD-like flashback in the subject, producing a catatonic state known as melting. The controller gives the command to melt when the subject is needed to wait, which he will do indefinitely, until hearing the command to resume activity. The command to resume is, "I'm going to Kansas." "Where are you from, Miss Ruby Shoes?" J.D. Salinger's book, Catcher in the Rye, was an early form of trigger used by MK Ultra. President Kennedy's assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, was in possession of this book. So was John Hinckley, who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan. And moments after, Mark David Chapman shot and killed John Lennon. He sat down, pulled out his paperback copy of Catcher in the Rye, and continued to read it.
My name is Kathleen Sullivan. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm a mind control survivor, governmental, CIA, NASA, and several other organizations. There's also a lot of mob connections in my experience, but there's a lot of other survivors out there who are still struggling. Some of who are dying with suicide programming. There are children who are still being abused and used as human slaves.
Okay, alrighty. So that was called Trigger Words and Symbols of MK Ultra, Dual Programming, and Mind Control. Did anybody want to put something on that before we go into actually Project MK Ultra?
that confirms that I call it an attitude. Well, these particular folks murder somebody and then go eat a damn sandwich.
Yeah.
Now, let me show you how up to date that is. When this cocksucker down in South Carolina went in that church, the police took him to Burger King. You remember that?
Yeah. Now that you say it, I do. Yep.
Yeah. And the police took him to Burger King before they took him to the jail, to the jailhouse or wherever the hell they took him. They took him and got him something to eat after he did what he did.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
So, what about these chips that these people take? A lot of these sniper attacks are people who are ex-veterans. And
Yep.
And you look at this Aurora, Colorado stuff at the opening of the Black Knight, was it? And that boy looked like he wasn't even on this planet anymore in court.
Yeah.
And they keep that real quiet now. They didn't say nothing else about him. He was just totally spaced out, and he was part of a training session because his daddy was a part of some kind of military situation.
Absolutely.
But most of these people have some type, excuse me for saying this, but most of them have some type of military connection.
You got it. And that's where we were going with. Go ahead on, brother.
All the stuff I checked out, these parents who are in those programs, when their children are babies, they take them and give them to them.
Yep.
Yeah, they take the babies and give them to them. Put them in the program when they're babies.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, they said Prez O, because Prez O's grandfather had a high military ranking, the white grandfather, and the mom had connections to the CIA.
Yeah.
And she worked for Timothy Geithner, who used to be the Fed Reserve, over the Fed Reserve. So he grew up in the shit, and supposedly and allegedly, now all of that part with the family history is true, but now this part we can't verify. We can only go by what folks are claiming, is that they had him in a lot of these secret military programs, and that they knew that they would use him one day in the form of government. Because if anybody that follows Prez O's background, he really literally came out of no fucking where.
Yeah. Well,
he came out of nowhere, and it's been a lot of controversy about his actual records, as far as him going to Harvard. Was that really legitimate? This, that, and the third. You know, they supposedly dug up people that said that he went to some community college and he had flunked out because, you know, he got high and he liked to party, this, that, and the third. But the bottom line is the claims are that Prez O was being groomed through his family connections of being in the military and his mom's connections with the Alphabet Boys. He was being groomed for that particular life, which is not far-fetched because, shit, you look at all of the presidents of the corporation. All of them pretty much were groomed or come from either some type of military background or their lineage was already a part of that secret society brotherhood.
Yeah, that was it may have been maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago. I was watching some video on some of the people who had been in those MK Ultra programs, and a guy he called himself Michael Prince. If I remember correctly, he was the one that said that he met Obama when he was a teenager, and he was in that jump room. He was in that jump room program. That's when he went to Mars.
Yep. I've heard that. I've heard that too. And the guy sounded pretty convincing. But that was actually a great interview. I don't know if it's still out there because he did one hell of an interview. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. But yes, sis, very good point. And that's where we were going next. And now, unfortunately, I can't find my MFN video breaking down. It literally is a documentary. It's called a CIA documentary, Project MK Ultra Mind Control Techniques. So I can't find that one, but I do have another one about Project Artichoke. Same concept. So I'm going to start that particular video because it's 4 parts to it, but we'll probably jump around. Sorry, go ahead, sis.
Thing I want to say, I watch my computer all the time, and they got a new movie trailer coming out where this lady and this kid is walking across this bridge, and she's quizzing him on math. And I decided to look at it a little further, and they put children in these programs for the genius kids. And I heard a guy do this, say he was in one of these programs. But this movie shows you miss the answer, you're eliminated. You're killed. And the kids, compete with each other trying to make sure they don't get killed, and some of them start trying to escape. And they were military children. This other guy who actually experienced this thing and was telling this story of his life, he was a military person's son. Living on a military complex base.
Well, it's interesting because if you all peep the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck, that's totally what this is about. The father was in the military. He had a high-ranking position, and he had 2 sons and a daughter. And the daughter is autistic, and one of the sons shows signs of autism. So the mom's nerves got bad. She couldn't handle the shit. The mom got the hell on, this, that, and the third. Well, long story short, Ben Affleck became this contract killer for a secret government operation out of the branch of the military. I mean, he was bad, but he was brilliant with numbers. So his cover was he was an accountant. So I'm not going to tell the rest of the movie because it's a damn good movie. It's very entertaining. But the point being, this whole movie is about mind control. And they show how it was all set up by the military, taking these children that particularly fit a certain profile, and of course with the parents' approval, and they literally had this entire program where they groomed them into what fashion they want to use them in. So that's very interesting that you bring that up. But yeah, check out that movie, The Accountant. It will show you how they put the children in these programs to do whatever path particularly they want them to take.
Like remove beauty.
But see, that also includes the missing children, the children that they're stealing. I mean,
I didn't think about it like that.
Babies from the hospital, and they start them off with the programming young. I mean, they've never been loved, never really had love. So that strong emotional tie to somebody they don't have to break. They can be cold, emotionless killers because they've never known love. And the orders and programming can be given through water because water has memory.
Yes.
So all they
yes,
have to do is drink some water, and there's no evidence left of any trigger.
Right.
Interesting. I never thought of it in the aspect of the missing children. That's very interesting. But that's what they did to the Ghost in the Machine movie. That's another good movie. It's about transhumanism or robotism, but it also has a lot to do with mind control, and they were basically taking the runaways, putting them in this program. So very, very good point. I didn't even think about it from that aspect.
Hey, I mentioned something a while back on the call. Go and watch H+, the digital series.
What's the name of it, Brother Wendell?
H+, the digital series.
Literally the letter H and then plus?
Yeah, the digital series, yeah.
Okay.
Go watch that thing right there. Yeah. You talk about transhumanism, this on a whole nother level.
Boy, I tell you, the human series. Okay, I always have to write this stuff down. Okay. All righty. So I'm going to, my video's disappearing. But this particular one that I want to get into, this is about Project Artichoke, CIA secret experiments on humans. So we're going to start with part 1, and then we'll come back and chop it up. So here we go.
Good evening, and welcome to Spotlight, a weekly series of investigative reports from around the world. I'm Mark Hertzgaard in San Francisco, and tonight, the Spotlight is on biological weapons and the CIA. Remember the anthrax scare? Shortly after the September 11 terrorist attacks, Americans were frightened anew when packets of anthrax were mailed to a handful of journalists and members of Congress. 18 months later, just where that anthrax came from remains a mystery. But the most likely source, say investigators, is the U.S. government itself. The American military's work in this field began during World War II in response to Nazi Germany's pursuit of biological weapons. After the war, the U.S. effort expanded to include experiments with LSD. Years before it became part of the 60s counterculture, LSD was being administered by the CIA, not only to loosen the lips of prisoners under interrogation, but to test the battlefield reactions of unsuspecting American soldiers. Tonight's film tells the story of a CIA agent who helped run these covert programs and may have been murdered because of it. In 1953, Frank Olson plunged to his death from a 13th floor hotel window in New York City. The CIA man who was in the room with Olson said he jumped. An autopsy demanded 40 years later by Olson's son concluded he was pushed. I'll be back afterwards with an update. For now, here is Codename Artichoke.
Frederick, Maryland. More than 40 years after his death, the body of former CIA scientist Dr. Frank Olson has been exhumed. Olson's son Eric is convinced his father was murdered by agents of the American government because he wanted to leave the CIA. Dr. Frank Olson was an expert for anthrax and other biological weapons and had top security clearance. Forensic pathologists at George Washington University performed an autopsy and concluded that Olson probably was the victim of a violent crime.
I was very strongly identified with him. I loved him. And I'm sure that's why, in the end I came to, take on this task of trying to figure out what had become of him.
It has been 8 years since the exhumation. Eric Olson is still searching for the reasons behind his father's death in November of 1953. Eric was 9 years old at the time. It's a quest he inherited as the oldest of 3 children, to solve the mystery of their father's death.
My real memories of my father are not very, many or very clear, because the trauma of his death really kind of darkened a lot of these memories. His death was, so dark and so unmentionable. I mean, after he died, it was a subject that one couldn't really go near.
Eric Olson has returned to live in the house his father built for the family in Frederick in 1950. Back then, Olson Sr. was one of the biochemists responsible for the Biological Weapons Center the U.S. Army ran nearby. The anthrax letters that killed 5 and caused illness to several others have haunted Eric ever since. Could there be a connection between his father's death 5 decades ago and the acts of terror taking place today?
We've been exposed to anthrax. Fight against anthrax. I don't have anthrax. Confirmation that anthrax killed 2 Washington postal workers.
We're being nervous these days.
Those are the facts.
It feels like every time.
I don't have anthrax. We've been exposed to anthrax.
Which serves the White House.
The deadly disease that frightened America after the terrorist attacks on September 11th seems to have come from the same U.S. Army laboratory in Frederick, where Olson had worked, Fort Detrick. The Biological Weapons Lab was founded in 1943. At the time, the Americans feared Hitler might attack the Allied troops with a virus or bacteria. They quickly produced a gas mask and anthrax weapons in order to be able to strike back in kind.
And chimpanzees, mainly protective masks and clothing that resist bacteria.
Dr. Frank Olson, an Army captain and one of the first scientists at Fort Detrick, worked together with Norman Cournoyer. The two became good friends. Their first sons were born within a few days of each other in 1944.
We worked about 5 months in this thing called aerosols to see if we could take and test gas masks and impregnated clothing to see how good they were. And then one day he was transferred to working on hot agents. He said, "Norm, how about working for me in the hot stuff?" That's what we always referred to it. N was anthrax, X was botulism, and so forth.
Christmas 1947. The war is finally over. Norman and his family celebrate together with Alice and Frank Olson and their children.
Were we close? Yes, very, very close. Every day of the week for 2.5 years. So you can expect us to be close.
Among the things his father left behind, Eric Olson found some home movies and slides. At first, he didn't pay them much attention, but today he sees that material from a different point of view. Might it contain any indication of the secret anthrax research his father was doing after the war? Frank Olson made a hobby of home movies. These scenes reveal nothing of his secret task involving deadly weapons. They show the perfect world of a young father, captured with the latest 8mm camera to hit the market. Afterwards, Frank Olson turned to photography. He brought home a lot of slides from his many travels. His photographs also primarily show private moments. Frank and his wife Alice and son Eric in 1945. Mr. and Mrs. Olson in 1947 with son Eric and daughter Lisa. Christmas 1949 in a tuxedo. Alice had given birth to their third child, Nils, in the meantime.
The whole subject of the relationship between a wife and a husband who's doing, top secret classified work is a subject one could discuss at some length, because the wife, I think, develops, uncanny kinds of intuitions about all the things that are not being said, and she knows the limits of what she can ask. And for quite a long time, I think, possibly ever since my father began working at Dietrich, actually, that the whole issue of the monkeys dying was a very delicate matter for him. And when he would come home from work for lunch and have a certain kind of expression, she would immediately know that this meant that morning all the monkeys had died, which meant that the experiment had been a success.
Arthur Vidic is Frank Olson's brother-in-law. Their families regularly spend their summer vacation together. Vidic remembers Frank Olson as an American patriot who was enthusiastic about working for the Army's biological weapons program.
He was a person who believed in what he was doing, who felt that the work that he was doing at the center in Frederick was important for the United States. He considered himself a terribly loyal and patriotic person. That kind of an attitude of loyalty was one way of expressing your Americanism.
Dr. Frank Olson had worked for the U.S. Army's Biological Weapons Laboratory for exactly 10 years when he died in New York in the wee hours of November 28, 1953. He spent the night at the Hotel Pennsylvania, along with a CIA agent who was there to guard him. That night, Frank Olson plunged to his death from his room on the hotel's 13th floor. It was said through a closed window. Niels, the youngest of Olson's 3 children, scribbled on the clipping with a crayon.
I was simply told that your father has had an accident and he died, and the only detail I was then given was that he had fallen or jumped out of a window, and I remember quite clearly just being totally stupefied by this, because I was, as a 9-year-old, I was old enough to have some idea of cause and effect. And I had no idea what does it mean to fall out of a window. I mean, how do you fall out of a window in the middle of the night? What is that?
Eric didn't understand, and for his mother, the subject of his father's death became a taboo. The search for the circumstances surrounding the mysterious death of Dr. Frank Olson begins in 1945 with the liberation of the concentration camp at Dachau, Germany. American troops discovered the corpses of hundreds of prisoners who had been murdered or starved to death. Many of the survivors told U.S. doctors about cruel experiments the camp's doctors carried out using disease, germs, and various drugs. A few weeks later, at Konsberg Castle north of Frankfurt, the scientific elite of Nazi Germany is arrested and questioned by American officers. The name of the project is Operation Dustbin. The American military hopes to evaluate and exploit the findings German researchers made during the war. Among the prisoners at Konsberg Castle is rocket scientist Professor Hermann Obert, who collects autographs from his colleagues. Some of the leading scientific experts in Nazi Germany had been involved in biological warfare, testing the effects of deadly germs on human beings in Dachau and other concentration camps. One of them was Professor Kurt Blume. Blume was the Third Reich's Deputy Surgeon General and the man behind German research into biological weapons. Blume will be among those charged in the case against concentration camp doctors brought before the military tribunal in Nuremberg. He will face the death penalty. In spite of the fact that there is enough evidence against him, Kurt Blume will be acquitted in Nuremberg. The Americans have other plans for him.
Ich habe hier in aller Offenheit bekannt, dass ich ein überzeugter Nationalsozialist und Anhänger Adolf Hitlers gewesen bin.
We were interested in anyone who did work in biological warfare. Now, did they want to use that, the Nazis? Yes, absolutely. They wanted to use anything that would kill people. Anything.
The Americans saved Kurt Blume, seen here on the left, from death by hanging. In turn, he provides them with information about the Nazi biological weapons program. One of the specialists interrogating Blume is Donald Falconer, a friend and colleague of Frank Olson. Falconer is responsible for developing anthrax bombs. Today, more than 50 years later, Donald Falconer lives in a convalescent home not far from Friedrich. Eric Olson had visited Falconer several times, hoping his father's old friend might one day confide a crucial secret in him. But Falconer refuses to say anything, feeling bound by his military oath, and he doesn't want to be interviewed.
Okay, so I split that up, but I wanted to chop it up. So that one, it's really a long series, but I wanted you all to get a start. And the name of that, again, is CIA Documentary Project Artichoke. So they started off talking about how they offed one of the scientists, and what was he in? He was in the military. So if time permits, I'll kind of fast forward and play another clip from that to give some more insight. So before I go into some other information, did anybody else have something they want to put on it? I wanted Brother Sean to go over some of the stuff that we talked about before, because he brought up some good information that I wanted him to share with the family. So
I would like to say something if he's not going to talk first. Wouldn't it be interesting to find out that Hitler had a handler, and Hitler was the fall guy?
I always thought he did.
Hitler was the fall guy for the world experiment on humanity, and they used Germany as that place for doing that, because Hitler was supported by a lot of governments.
You better
Britain,
believe it.
The Pope, the rabbis, the Queen of England, the United States.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, we forget about Project Paperclip.
Right.
Where they brought all those so-called weird scientists that did all those nasty experiments over here and gave them new identities. So
exactly.
It sounds to me like Hitler was a mind-controlled, and he was a patsy.
Absolutely, and I see you 727. We're gonna come to you, and then I'll have Brother Sean share with you all. We're gonna go back into the celebrity side because he brought some shit up. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. We got to talk about that. But back to the Hitler stuff. Yeah, because let's start with all of those Nazi scientists. You heard them say in this particular clip, they didn't bring him. They brought him to trial. He was supposed to die by hanging, but the U.S. court had another plan for him. That happened to all them Nazi scientists. They didn't kill them. What they did was, some of them came over here. Most of them came over here, and they started all of these programs that's actually still going on today. And then
sounds like a George Zimmerman to me.
Right. And then the other ones, they went to Argentina, including Hitler. Hitler didn't fucking die like they said he died.
Down there. He was 90-some years old last time they took a picture of him.
He lived the rest of his life in Argentina. And if you ever want to know a good movie about that, you got to see Boys of Brazil. It told you everything. It basically told you how they set up their own Dr. Island of Moreau. They were doing all of those human experiments. Those were the scientists from the Nazi regime camp, and Hitler was absolutely there. So the movie is called Boys of Brazil, but it actually took place, all of that actually took place where Hitler and his scientists lived out the rest of their days in Argentina, and the rest of the scientists came to the United States and integrated into the Alphabet Boys program and came up with biological warfare, shit, you name it, that's what these scientists were behind. So you're absolutely right, sis.
You can't forget NASA.
Yeah, NASA, never a straight answer. Exactly. NASA, absolutely. All of that, all of them programs.
All of that, what's been running this country is nothing but Nazis.
Right.
Yeah. True that.
That thing is still strong and going on right to this day. Because your police, your quote-unquote law enforcement ain't nothing but the damn Gestapo.
Right. We getting feedback from somebody. So, okay, so let me go to 727, and then Brother Sean, I would want you to share with the family some of the information you and I were chopping it up about via email. Okay, so here, let me bring on 727. 727, your line is open.
Okay, hi, Rhonda. This is Cheryl.
Greetings. How are you? It's so good to hear your voice, sis.
Well, I've been listening to the show, and I've been messaging Sean, and he said, come on. I won't take up much of your time, but I wanted to say that I had done a research several years ago on athletes and these entertainers who have become very successful. And I found that most of them, either both parents or one of the parents, usually the father, had been in the military. That includes Tiger Woods, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, just all, to name a few. Jay-Z had connections with the military. Samuel Jackson was in a program. Kanye West.
Really?
Samuel was in the military. So it's not by accident that these people have been put before us as being successful. The Nazis have always been experimenting for this superhuman being.
Yep.
And when Jesse Owens defeated their runner in front of Hitler, that's when they decided to start this experiment. The program started. You're right, they came into the United States, they went into South America. Many of them have been in Antarctica. That's why we have not been allowed to go there. All of these experiments have been going on underground. The mind control, these people have been controlled since birth.
Now, it's interesting that you say that, sis, about the underground experiments, because supposedly and allegedly I'm going to take y'all back about 2 years. Anybody that follows the news remotely, especially if you go on the alternative news side. About 2 years ago, I don't know if y'all remember, it was stories coming out about folks hearing these loud boom sounds. And the boom sound sounded like they were coming from up underground. So supposedly that was those bases being blown up. So, you know, I don't know if they blew them all up. Yeah,
I don't believe they blew up the bases. They were probably blowing up underground for the tunnel connections.
I heard that too, but I heard that a lot of those tunnels and stuff were being blown up because specifically they were saying in the D.C. area, Virginia, it was a lot of underground explosions going on around there. Now, of course, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I do remember about 2 years ago that was the rumbling.
I heard about the ancestors in that.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, that the ancestors blew it up.
The same thing happened here in Atlanta on Interstate 20. They just covered it up.
Yeah, something's going on in Atlanta because I saw it's another water main break that just happened. Wasn't it yesterday? So I'm like, yeah, something's going on in Atlanta.
I think it was yesterday.
Okay, yeah, because I think you posted it, sis. Yeah, it was yesterday that they had a water main break. So, but yeah, very, very good point, sis, and thank you for bringing that, because you were the one, because I was going to use one of your sources to the family that if they ever want to know the connection with the melanated celebrities being involved in these secret societies and these mind control programs, sis, Cheryl was the one that hit me to an excellent site. And get ready, because they go deep, called mindcontrolblackassassin.com. They dig pretty deep, putting the connections together.
And it's all connected with the Nazis.
Yep, it's all, and they always connect the artists and let you know how they're tuned in to these particular mind control programs, and then they go into telling you who their handlers are and how they are connected to the Nazi, someone that is of lineage in that Nazi family. So it's an excellent source of information. I've pulled a lot of stuff off there and just sat back with my mouth open. And again, the name of that website is mindcontrolblackassassin.com.
In search of, or in search of Black Assassin. You can Google that also. He has, Prince Ray has done a lot of studies. As a matter of fact, his father was in the military, and he's gone through some of the programming.
So he would know then.
Yes.
Interesting. He would know, and I don't know, sis, and I see you 216. I'm bringing you on in a second, sweetie. I don't know, sis, if you heard that Mariah Carey. Now we know Mariah Carey went under MK Ultra programming. You know, and just Google it. Go back to some of her album covers. You'll clearly see the stuff that we talked about, the signs and the symbols. But I just recently saw something, and I don't know where I saw it at. It could have been on Mind Control Black Assassin. But they were saying
her mother.
Exactly. I'm like,
her mother is a witch.
Out of here.
There's a big coven society in Long Island. That's where she's from.
I was
and they had elevated Mariah. The sister strung out on drugs because she can't handle the programming, and the brother is an alcoholic.
Yep.
They all have beautiful voices.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yes, the sister sings, the brother sings, but Mariah is the one that they put before us.
Okay, I didn't know the whole family sang, but what got me about the background, they said that the mother is a high-ranking witch, right?
Yes, yes.
And whatever, Brother Wendell, I'm not sure. Let me see if that's you with all that noise. Nope, I accuse you falsely. I'm sorry. Okay, so the mother is a high-ranking witch, but here's the part that tripped me out is that the sister, because now the sister is coming out, supposedly and allegedly telling the story about her mom being in a secret society, her being a high-ranking person in a secret society as a witch, but the sister is saying that she remembers when they would go to this castle-like house and where the adults would be performing these rituals. And so guess what the house is? The house is, if y'all saw that movie, Eyes Wide Shut.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that's why they killed Roman Polanski, by the way.
Gave out information.
Yeah, and that particular house was where they literally, Mariah's sister said that they had been to that house and where they were performing those particular rituals. So I was just blown away because I had, started to learn about the mind control, the rituals, woo, and I knew Mariah Carey was a part of it, and she's a part of some order. She's a victim of mind control, but to hear the back end story about her mom being linked into it kind of blew my mind. So very, very interesting stuff.
But see, you got to think about that's how she wound up with the owner, Tommy Mottola.
He was clearly her controller. Could not get no more clear than that he was her controller, which he's been in the music business for a long time. So yeah, he was clearly her handler. Absolutely. Well, okay, sis, did you have anything else you want to share with the family? Well, thank you. Please call back more because you put out a wealth of information. So please
I've just
feel
been
free.
listening and then posting.
I know, and thank you for all that you do because you put out some powerful information.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay, sis. Well, peace and love.
Peace and love to you all.
Okay. All right, let me go to 216.
Hello.
216, your line is open. Greetings, beloved. Sorry you had to hold so long.
That's okay. How you been, Rhonda?
I've been too good. It's so good to hear your voice. How are you?
Hey,
Brother
I have my good days and bad. Hey, yeah, I have my good days and bad days, but I'm hanging in there. I can't complain. Thanks
good.
to you, and you put me in the right direction of some things, and I did more research, and hey, I sleep well, and I wake up every day and live.
Good, very, very good, brother. Very good, beloved. Okay, so you was texting me. I'm glad you got in the queue, so now I don't have to relay what you were saying. So go ahead on.
Yeah. Now, my father couldn't remember this. My father was good watching ABC News at night, Ted Koppel coming on. It's all propaganda, and it's already set up the stage,
right.
Just like the World Trade Center. Now, when Reagan got shot, it was by John Hinckley Jr., and he was on the MK-Ultra, and that was Bush's cousin, his fifth cousin, that shot Reagan, because Bush would have became president if Reagan would have died.
Oh.
Remember, they let him out of jail a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he just recently got out, yes.
Right, and that explosion he was talking about happened back in August 2011, when they had an explosion and people were in Virginia and Washington D.C. came out of the buildings and stuff. They thought it was an earthquake, but it was the earthquake scale is different from the explosion scale. And it was on the ground when they was fighting on the ground. And to my limited understanding, if I ain't mistaken, is it 30 people died on the ground? Was it more than that? 30,000? 3,000?
I can't remember
I know
the number, but I remember the one you talking about in 2011 because it was so off the chain that it was a lot of people giving accounts of that the explosions that was happening underground. But it did recently happen again 2 years ago, where people were reporting.
That's probably when they was up in Denver, Colorado.
No,
because
folks
they was
said
hitting
this
all
was yeah, but they were hitting it around the country. Folks around the country was you know, putting out there that they hear these explosions underground. But one time when it happened in D.C. and Virginia a couple of years ago, a lot of people reported it as well.
Right. Now, the lady said Hitler probably had a handler. His handler was his family, the Rothschilds. See, Hitler really was to my limited understanding, Hitler was a male prostitute over in Austria.
What? Now, where the hell you get that from? I ain't never heard that.
Wow.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right. I'm gonna share this real fast. All right. Melanated people always sometimes get played to the left by Caucasians. Not all Caucasians are bad. Not all people are bad with each other races. But when they find out that you're well aware of what's going on and you're a reader, they can't pull no wool over your eyes, they tend to come close to you and share information with you.
That's true. I have had that happen.
To be more friendly to you. And that's what they did to my mother. See, a lot of the information I got from my mother, and my mother was a reader. See, I used to ask my mother what this word means. She, off the top of her head, said it because she read the dictionary, went back to school, got her GED and her college education to pass us all up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So Hitler was a male prostitute over in Austria. They took him out of Austria and put him in power over in Germany while the richest Jews was living in the finest hotel, Warburg and Rothschild. Why these
because they were the ones financing the
world
of the war anyway. Whoa.
So when Hitler's sister even said he wasn't in control of anything. Every time he came home, he was so tired and so exhausted. Then when he said supposedly got killed, he had really escaped underground into the hollow earth and went down to Argentina. So you can go from Argentina to the South Pole. Or North Pole,
yes,
Antarctica,
yes,
whatever.
you can. Yep, South Pole, yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. You can go from Atlanta, Georgia to California in a half an hour with the underground train south. They was used for the public, but they took it away.
Yep.
Now
it's a lot of layers underground that they didn't build. Mm-hmm.
Like Brother Wendell said, I think it was Brother Wendell when he said the Nazis is in control right today. That's including Tavistock Institute. And when John Lennon has got a felony, they say, how do you feel now after you didn't get your felony? He said, I feel like I'm in good company considering the country is being run by Nazis.
Yeah.
And they killed him.
Yep. Had one of their MK Ultra victims kill him. And speaking of the Beatles, it was probably in one of them damn videos that mysteriously then straight up disappeared tonight. But or we might get to it. I think I have it. I take that back because I have videos I really want us to listen to about mind control in music. And they were saying that whole Beatles experiment, period, was all about releasing on the public a form of mind control. And a lot of the Beatles' music is linked with mind control triggers and symbols of the secret societies. Because as a matter of fact, one of the producers of their particular work was linked to Dude. I know y'all know who I'm talking about. Crawley.
Aleister Crawley.
Yeah, Crawley and Duvet. Okay, one of the producers. So That's interesting because that's that whole Lucy in the Sky. Lucy in the Sky. That's all about
with diamonds, LSD, drugs,
exactly.
LSD, Lucy in the
We
Sky with
just talked
diamonds.
about that. Exactly. So one of the videos clearly told you that the Alphabet Boys was using LSD as experimental drugs, but they were using it to see how they could crack that conscious mind. Okay, so that's what that Lucy in the Sky was about. And you heard in one of the videos when they start talking about those gems and like diamond is the highest level, that means you're getting rewarded because you made it to that level. So you passed that particular initiation. So that's interesting that you're bringing up.
Going up the diamond.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget that George Bush Sr., real name is George Scherf Jr., was working for Hitler at the age 14, stealing Nikola Tesla material to give back to the Nazis.
That makes sense.
That's when the name Curious George came from.
Mm-hmm. I remember you told me that.
They put it in the cartoon and call it Curious George about a monkey, but that's what Nikola Tesla called George Scherf Jr. He used to catch him messing around with his material, and the lady and the man said these Nazis run around like curious monkeys. He said, I have one of those. His name George. That's what he is, a Curious George. I call him. He's curious. I'm gonna call him Curious George. But he the one hitting Nikola Tesla with the car. That's how he got his limp, because he tried to kill Tesla. And his father
because they didn't want that particular. Oh, the father. Whose father was working for Tesla?
George. Let me finish though. George Bush Sr., which is George Scherf Jr.'s father, George Scherf Sr. was working for Nikola Tesla, and every time the Tesla wasn't around, George Bush, who was age 14, was a Nazi at the time, was down there. You know how they showed in the Rocketeer with the little cameras taking pictures?
Right.
Like that, he was stealing the information. And Tesla used to catch him messing around with his material and chase him away. And he couldn't stand him. He didn't like him. But he didn't know what he was doing at the time. He the one tried to kill Tesla. He the one stole $100 million from Stormzy, and Stormzy the one put the story out there about the Scherf family, really the Bush family right today. And as far as the Nazis concerned, they perform all kinds of magic. Their magic is through movies or like making a couch or a chair, and they sit down in it. And our power, our real power and magic is levitation. But they can't levitate, so they sit in the chair.
Well, that's an interesting story about Scherf and them and Tesla, because you know Tesla, the technology and all the technology is the ancient sciences / metaphysics that our ancestors knew. That's really what Tesla had tapped into. And so he wanted to bring that technology in the form of energy to have free energy across the planet using high vibrations. And they shut that shit down. Because, I mean, Tesla had the formula. He told them how to do wireless technology, all of that. But without these electronic waves that we're on today, which is the lower vibrational stuff.
Right, and J.P. Morgan took that information and started selling it through electricity, Thomas Edison and all that.
Right, they backed Edison. Mm-hmm.
We could still get that free energy, but it's up to the masses of the people. To my limited understanding, that you write letters to all the ambassadors from all the countries to let them know that we want free energy. I think that I read that during the reading something about the Keats Foundation.
Mhm.
Like
wow.
That. Now the boys from Brazil, with Gregory Peck played in, they was making blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. They was creating their own clones.
Using whose genes? Using whose genes?
The melanated people genes.
Yeah, but in the movie they were trying to say like they were using Hitler's genes.
No,
because they were trying to make this superior race But like Sis Cheryl said, they were down there trying to make a superior race. We don't know what they were gene slicing with, but we can pretty much guess that it was surely melanated genes a part of that, I'm sure. But in the movie, they had it that they were using Hitler's genes.
Now, when people get kind of confused, because when they say when Hitler came over to America, or the Nazis came over to America, rather, they came over to the Americas, whether it was
right,
North or South.
Absolutely.
Now, this is the North America, United States of America, which is the 50 states of North America, but South America is where they hear that down in the of nature, which they call it, because if you know it, you don't have respect for nature. They call it jungle. Like George Bush Sr. said, we will have a new world order. We will follow, and it won't be the laws of the jungle. And he was talking about
Well,
like
you
that.
know, it's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He was talking about nature, and I'm gonna get to this right here. I stayed in Sandy Springs on Roswell Road, and a partner of mine called me down there. They got me a security job, and I was living down there for about 2.5 years. He told me about the sinkhole that's on Roswell Road down there by the Kroger's and Chick-fil-A down there before you get on the 440 highway.
Yeah, I know it. 400. Yeah, I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah, 400 highway. I said 440. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I knew what you meant. But yeah,
it's an underground water main that's busted, and it's about 50 yards long, going around the corner and everything. So they're working on it now. And,
but Atlanta, they had a lot of drama jump off with their infrastructure.
Right, but if you notice, Astrology 13 says something about that. Atlanta go start is it's really Atlantis, and it's going to start coming back to where it used to be or whatever and all that. I don't like that bridge. You know, the homeless guy was smoking crack cocaine and it set the bridge on fire.
I know crackheads can do many things, but to bring down a concrete bridge, come on now. Y'all didn't set that little man up. He was probably smoking his stuff, went on about his business, and they blew that damn stuff up.
It's just like the planes brought down the World Trade Center.
True that.
If he around those chemicals, he don't need to smoke crack. He already getting high.
That's true, because you know that's a better high than the crack nowadays. That's a good point.
They put the chemicals under that bridge, knowing that it would a certain temperature would make it hot, warm, and start a fire. That is so that they can slow down some of the traffic or in and out of the city of Atlanta, and they did other places like that. Because you notice why? Because the United Nations is already over here in this country.
Yeah.
So they probably in cahoots with the United Nations and what's going on to slow down things happening. As you notice, they probably practiced the collapsed bridge in Minnesota. Remember that?
I remember that.
In California, so they practice it on the masses to get to the point where they really want to be at. And I think Atlanta is that point they really want to be at, with more propaganda tragedies to come, false flags to come, you know.
Right. Well, Atlanta, like you said, from the spiritual proponent, and we had Brother Morris Donaldson on last week, that, you know, that was the epicenter of Atlantis. And you got all the melanated people there. That's a lot of energy. So, of course, they going to start effing with it to try to suppress and manipulate the changing back over of the planet. It ain't going to work, but that's what they're trying to do.
Right. What's really going on to me is they're losing the battle, but they're trying to keep the masses in fear, to keep that energy coming back and keep that energy coming back, reincarnating that energy coming back into this realm so they can have control.
Right,
over
so
their
they
mind.
can keep the frequency. Right. Keep the frequency where they can stay in control. But again, it's not going to work. But that's exactly what they're doing. I totally agree with you. Totally agree. But one more point I want to make before we move on. It's interesting that you dropped that bombshell about Hitler being a prostitute in Austria. But you know immediately who I thought of when you said that was Prez O, because that's what they said he was doing. You know, now I'm not saying he was walking the whole stroll, but he was sleeping with wealthy white men for money, and they were taking care of him. So I found that really interesting that you said that that's what was going on with Hitler. I immediately thought of the rumors or part of his quote hidden background that some people are saying. That's very interesting.
And Obama was a billionaire when he got in office. Clinton was a billionaire when he got in office. See, Obama under the Rockefellers. His father was Winthrop Rockefeller. That's Clinton. His father was Winthrop Rockefeller. Obama under the Rockefellers because his stepfather, Lolo Sartorio, used to work for Standard Oil. And when Lolo Sartorio died, he was the 20th richest man in the world.
So his whole background, it just doesn't, it's too many missing holes.
Right. Nazis. And then you got Hillary, Anna Nicole Smith, Hitler, and probably Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is a cousin to Hillary. A distant.
Yeah, and his family comes straight out of Germany. Right.
They all Russian.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. I ain't gonna hold you up. I just wanted to get that in.
No, it was great hearing from you.
Indeed, Brother Kel.
Okay, Brother Kel.
Okay.
All right. Peace and love, brother. Love you. It's good hearing your voice.
Peace and love, sir. Peace and love. Hey, sir.
Okay.
But I would like to add on as far as for the explosions or whatever back in the day. To my understanding, it was HAARP. And they would say about sonic booms causing earthquakes and this, that, and other. But under these circumstances, it was being turned on them, blowing up, causing earthquakes to collapse their underground bases so they couldn't escape. All their avenues of escape have been shut off. That's why they're so desperate now, because they have no escape route.
Because
they know it.
I heard somebody say, and I can't remember who said it, that if they take their ass underground, if they want to, that's going to be their tomb. Because the earth will be purposely shook.
That's Chief Willie.
Okay, Chief Willie. I'm like, I can't remember, and I'm going to have to reach out to Chief Willie and get him back on the show. I haven't talked to him in about a year. But yeah, Chief Willie said that they take their butt, and he didn't curse by no means, but they take their tails down there, that the earth was going to shake, and they would literally be buried alive. So that's very, very interesting. Okay, let me bring on 661. Here we go. 661, your line is open. Peace and love.
Love, afros and perms, Jerry curls, and everything in between. Well, I just wanted to add on to just 2 points. The Queen, I sent you a video just on your Facebook right now about the Queen. She actually was the one in 2016 that gave the orders to kill all the celebrities that were against the New World Order. So that's why we kept seeing all those people dropping like flies left and right, Prince, Michaels, and all those individuals. She gave orders to kill them because they were opposed to it. And then that's one point. And then the other thing is NATO. If you actually look at the symbol of the top part of the building of NATO, it is actually symbolized as the lightning that were on the Nazis, that was actually on the Nazis' uniforms. And so they trying to tell us that they're still in control, and they're going to stay in control. And it is actually set up as a power source wherever they located at. It's almost like a whole bunch of windows sitting on top of a building, and they're pulling the power from something. So they're really trying to tell you that they're in control. And this is actually during the time when President so-called O was in office. He never said anything. He never rebutted. He just let it go through. So either way, they are going to try to maintain their control as much as they can, but they know that they're trying to clean up their mess right now. I've seen a few articles lately that they're trying to refute their behavior, but you can't change the Neanderthal in.
Well, and here's the thing, though. It even if, let's say, they clean up, and their version of cleaning up is giving folks a couple dollars, although you still going to be in debt slavery, okay? Maybe I ain't going to poison you as much. The point being, it's really not about so much the physical, because if their ass ain't vibrating properly, they ain't going to be able to, they won't be able to join the rest of us. That's the bottom line. I don't give a shit what they try to reform, what they try to blow up. It don't matter. The planet has moved on. It's shifting into a different age with a higher frequency, which they are not able to resonate on.
Right, and the higher frequency is what you do in the dark will be brought into the light.
Absolutely.
No matter how much they try to hide it, deceive it, put it on television to put it under the form of Hollywood, it still comes out.
It still comes out.
They no longer are living in the age of deception. They have to live in the age of truth. And they're trying to project their truth, but they know they still liars.
Right.
So that's all I got to say.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Very good points. Well, thank you so much. You have anything else you want to put on it?
No, that was it. I just wanted to let people think about the situation with the Queen and NATO, because they're all still coexisting together. Me and my mother figured they had to get Obama out of there because it was causing too much confusion amongst them. They didn't want to see that melanated face in power. So they had to put a fool's gold in power to fulfill what they have to do. So it doesn't make it look like they're really trying to take down the world still.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think also they put, Obama in power. He, to me, represented their answer to the planet returning back to its powerful natural source. And so we know that was the melanated people. So
that was the Noble Drew Ali's with the Asiatic prophecy. And so they use it to their advantage. Yes, they did use that. And it's still going to backfire, but, they did use it. That's why the whole world was cheering when he became president, because that was the deception that they used.
Exactly. So that's what Prez O represented, because they know prophecy better than we do. And the reason that they had Hillary and Trump card running together, well, Hillary, believe it or not, represented their version of the feminine energy. because we're moving back into being a matriarch society. Okay, so that was their way of calling themselves fulfilling the prophecy to their advantage. Although it really didn't matter because they put Trump up there anyway. But I'm just saying that is what Hillary represented. And she wasn't the only one. A lot of women that particular year ran for office and won. It was a lot of women around the world that ran for these political offices and won or got put in key positions. That was their way of saying, see, we're going to control this spiritual energy. If the prophecy states rather that we're returning to a matriarch society where, well, we're going to go with that flow, but we're going to put these parasitic women in power to represent that. The shit ain't gonna work because, again, it's about a vibrational level. I don't give a shit who you are, black, white, green. It does not matter. If you're not resonating on the frequency, including women, your ass is gone. You gotta go. That's just the bottom line. But yeah, that's some of the games that they call themselves playing. Absolutely.
Again, they played a pretty good game with Hillary over the years, and her time is up. They used her in every presidential race because nobody wanted her as president. So every person that she ran against, they won against her, making it seem like she was the loser, but really she was the handler or the worker of the handler.
I can see that.
You see what I'm saying? See, even when Obama was running as president, she was running against him, and nobody wanted her. So they wanted to try the Negro, which he would be classified as because he act like one. And so they used. So she was the scapegoat. They used her as the female scapegoat. And so now we have the Trump card in, he's the full part of the deck, but she's the one who's pushing the card. And so now she's coming out of the woodworks after they conformed him and probably switched out his body and put his two clones in there, whatever they did to him.
Right.
So now she's coming out of the woodwork, still dictating the whole entire concept because she is the queen mother to the queen mother lizard that sits over there in our throne. But anyway, that's a whole nother situation.
Yeah.
But this is what they've been playing, the ace in the hole, and now they're trying to figure out how to fix it, and it's not even working. But we'll see. I'm sitting back here waiting because we're at the lower frequency of the spiritual part. I'm waiting until we get into the winter time. Then we're going to see how much power they really have in the winter. By the time that high frequency of the ancestors pulls through the universe, we're going to see how much power they really have because they're trying to create stability, but the earth is still in self-destruction mode. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And you could tell that the control and the power has already diminished because no matter what false flag event or book of tricks they try to pull out, I mean, it may get people in a little frenzy or upset or whatever, but it doesn't spark to me what they think that it's going to spark. And you could just feel the energy. That I put it this way: they can no longer control the energy because the vibrations are raising pretty rapidly. And if you notice some of these figures, they can't even make the clones fucking fast enough. These folks are looking. I'm like, damn, how you still living? Yeah. You look like you the walking MF and dead. Like you need. Yeah. I've seen dead bodies look better than you. So they can't even control manufacturing stuff because the vibrations are rising higher, and it's eating their ass up. You can see it literally eating people up alive. You can literally see it.
Yeah, like one of the brothers I spoke to, he said, you notice you see the blonde Trump and then you see the red Trump, the tangerine Trump.
Oh gosh,
so
it is so bad.
Yeah, they can't even sculpture right.
No, they can't. And I mean, one time he was getting on Air Force One, and he literally had on like a diaper. You could see it up under the suit, and I'm like, they getting raggedy than SF.
I know. They're gonna have to make another clone soon. They probably over there trying to re-engineer these de facto clones.
Yeah, but that's the point I think. So is that even the technology they call themselves having. It's just not working. They put stuff out, but the frequencies and the ancestors and the people on the planet that's tuned in is reversing that shit and tearing it down. They literally cannot. They can't keep up.
I know. It's too much for them. They're going in overdrive.
Because the time is up. The time of rule is up.
Right. The article that I sent you to, it also states that the Queen wants World War III to start by, I think, February or June, all the way until November. How are you gonna dictate when the war gonna stop and begin?
Because they always done that, but they've been trying to get that war started for quite some time, and it
ain't working.
No, it's not working.
No power.
It's not working because the frequency is too high. So it's just not going to work. They don't have that type of energy and power because the planet is raising its vibration, and now we have enough people. It didn't take the entire planet to do it. It only took a certain amount of people who like, oh, well, no, that's not going to happen.
Right. And then we go into our dream state, which we're getting caught up into our matrix phase, and then we start manifesting in that part of the realm, and then that speaks another form of energy to the planet. Yeah, that's what a lot of people started doing, because I noticed a lot of people were saying, I had this vision, and I had this thing, and I had that.
Absolutely.
No. You didn't just have it. You already had it. You just didn't know when you had it.
Exactly, and that's what people are doing. They're astro traveling. You hear a lot of people. Well, if you tuned into this, talk about literally in the spirit world creating the new world on what it's going to be, and it's at a high vibrational level. You can't even go to that spirit realm if your vibration is not high. So, yeah, I don't give a damn what they do. They're not going to be able to bring that stuff over into the high vibrational realm. Now, they can go in the sunken motherfucking place and keep kicking it. That's what I don't know what's going to happen to her, but they're surely not going to operate on those higher realms. And the planet's vibration is rising.
Yeah. You can tell by that moon. That moon looks like it's on my shoulders now.
That moon, I don't know what that moon going to do from one day to another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, well, right now I'm in the waiting phase. I'm just sitting back waiting until the winter time and see how much power they truly think they have, or what cabal or whatever Jesuit lie they done came up with to fix and cleanse the whole entire planet, but still play the games as them being the perpetrating rulers over us, which they need to stop that already because it ain't working.
Right, and to be really, really honest, I believe, and I have to give this to Brother Will Capri. He said this also, Will Capri. A lot of these public figures that we see, they're already dead.
Yeah.
They're literally already dead. So you're just seeing either holograms or some manufactured shit that they put together, clones that's breaking the fuck down. This battle is really not them. It's the demigods that we are shutting down.
Right.
All the rest of these fucking supposed cabal, they're dead. They're gone. Too many of us have seen them in the spirit realm locked the fuck up.
Case
so they're already dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It is what it
All
is.
right. Well, good hearing your voice, brother.
You're welcome. We just gotta, like I said, keep manifesting in that other dimension.
Yep, that's what you have to do.
This physical is the problem world, but that spiritual world is our world. That was ours from the gate. It's gonna be ours until the end.
Always the gate. We just forget that we controlled it all. We controlled the spiritual. We controlled the physical. But just go to the spiritual and manifest to bring the shit in and just keep it moving.
Right, that's why they gave us the man with the beard and the Jesus story, so we couldn't think like that. And if we get to that whole entire conclusion of our lives, we can manifest it in our dreams and get our power back. We don't have to be begging for somebody to return to give us our power back.
Right.
We can do it in a dream state.
Exactly. You've always had the power within. Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Always was within. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, brother. Well, good hearing your voice.
You're welcome.
Okay, then. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
All right. Okay. All right. Brother Sean, did you... Yeah, go ahead. I want you to put something on it because I know it's been like 30 minutes. Go ahead.
Obama was like a double-edged sword. I mean, if you really think about it. He brought black people back off into politics when, with the Bushes, blacks were ready to leave politics and do their own thing.
True that.
Obama brought them back in. And they was also hoping that he would agitate the white folks enough to set off a race war. I mean, they was hoping for a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't work that way.
It sure didn't, because the whites actually, truth be told, they were the ones that really put him over the edge as far as getting him in office. It was the younger folks.
But see, those are the ones that are hoping to be able to get along. They're not falling for the whole race war thing. They're not trying to get caught up into that.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, they're tired of the bullshit in general, too. Because it done got so out of control that a lot of them don't feel that they're benefiting from the so-called system. They see how that pyramid Ponzi scheme works with the pyramid, all seeing eye broken off from the top of the pyramid. So they see that 1% controlling the rest. So good for them. Good for them for seeing it for what it is. Okay, family. So I did want to bring up this article, brother. I think I'm going to read that one article just as an example, and then we're going to move into how music is also a part of this. But before I do this, because Brother Sean, I guess Sis Cheryl sent this to you, and I had straight up forgot about this. Let's get on air, your airness, Jordan. So, Sis Cheryl, I'm assuming, sent you this article, Brother Sean.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, it's called In the Know 7 WordPress.com. Okay, so this is about Michael Air Jordan, MK MK Ultra asset. Okay, and it does a question mark to it. So they're showing him in this picture with his 6 championship rings, and it says Michael James Jordan, 6 championship rings, Egyptian Masonic sun finger pose. Okay, so let's go into, I'm trying to get to the article, go down a little bit. A bridge from Wiki, born in Deer Lodge, Montana. Is this about Jordan? This is kind of weird. I don't know if I can read this because I don't know if I got to get it from the videos. Let me scroll down a little bit. But check it out. They got a lot of stuff on here because they're actually going through his career and kind of linking him to a lot of people that are in the secret society orders. They have a lot of videos on here discussing his television appearances and showing how they were basically rituals that were being done. Now, interestingly enough, I have straight forgot about this. His father was in the military. So we talked about that. And it says Master Sergeant James R. Jordan Jr. was in the military. So he was a sergeant. So now I remember hearing about Jordan's sister putting out a autobiography. Her name is Dolores E. Jordan, and it's In My Family Shadow. And basically, and when I heard this story, I was really straight disgusted. I was in shock. So according to Dolores E. Jordan's book that she put out, In My Family Shadow, it says that Dolores Jordan makes shocking claims of losing her virginity, incestuous ritual rape to her father, James R. Jordan Sr., which continued for a period of 8 years. And so remember, we talked about that a form of mind control, a form of the secret society rituals, sex is a big part of it. And they really their preference are the children, okay, starting them off at an early age. And as Brother Sean pointed out, it is because of how the children, you know, when you're that young, the younger you are, the more connected to that spiritual realm you are. So meaning you are quite powerful. So that would make sense with what they're saying in this particular article. And it says, so Dolores also states her mother was in denial regarding the abuse and treated her coldly and subjected her to emotional abuse resulting in depression, and also claims mistreatment by Brother Michael. These events are consistent within the family structure, familial structures of multi-generational monarch families. Okay. So, you know, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but she goes into how she she got pissed off and confronted her father about the abuse. And so that's where it really stopped. So it has been said that throughout Jordan's career, and I remember hearing about this before I even got into knowing all of the information on mind control and all of that. Now a lot of it is starting to make sense. But it is said that, number one, they hid a lot of Jordan's dirt in his past. Number one, his preference has always been Caucasian women. But his family pretty much told him, and probably his handlers, that it would not be good for his image. So hence why he married a melanated woman, Juanita. But, he's divorced, and now he's with, I don't know if the chick is Spanish or whatever. She looks Caucasian. But anyhow, but also interestingly enough, throughout Jordan's life, I found it real interesting, but I didn't know enough about the whole secret society and mind control at the time, that some of his quote, quote, supposedly and allegedly best friend were these Caucasian men, and one Caucasian man in particular. So now that I'm looking back on this and seeing the pattern in Jordan's life, and his father being a military man, that very much well could have been his handler. So that's just another example. We already talked about Mariah Carey. There was some bombshell information about her mom being in a secret society and them witnessing the rituals. And now we have where, Jordan's father was in the army, and the sister making the claims of the sexual abuse. So that particular information is from a website called InTheKnow7wordpress.com. So I will definitely put it in the chat room for the family. Okay, so before we move on to the mind control and music, did anybody have anything they wanted to put on anything?
Well, I do. I just wonder about Jennifer Hudson and all that murder.
Explain what that they want to call it a conspiracy theory. So explain what you're talking about, that Jennifer Hudson.
Well, all these people who make it to the fame level, they were purported to have to sacrifice something. Mm-hmm. And it's usually someone very close to them. Mm-hmm. And they agree with stuff they say. And her mother and her, nephew and stuff, they were killed. We got Cosby, his son was killed. We have Jordan, his daddy. All of these people end up using their handlers, if they're handlers, or if they're the closest person. But you always have to give up something to get. And when they get paid for their stuff, they sacrifice somebody close to them. And maybe that's a ritual for them. But she got really high up there, but she had to give up as well. So that's some of the stuff I know about all these things. And then I want to talk about Kerry. Now, John Kerry, they say, is a different Kerry, because the other Kerry was really, really ugly, but this one is somewhat ugly. So when he went up to the Antarctic it went unannounced. I think that's when Aldrin went up there with him. Then he went to New Zealand from that point, and it is said that they had that 7.8 earthquake because the powers of that be made that earthquake to happen, because they were really ticked off at him for coming up there unannounced. And so that was the first time. I mean, the foundations of the houses were knocked off. The houses were knocked off their foundations, and so they said the original Kerry was shot in the face, I think it was, or shot in the chest.
Yeah. That he had died. I remember that year when they said that dude had died. He got shot. He was executed. Yep.
Was executed. And so they substitute these people in their place, and of course they take these other people who agree to this stuff, and they take their loved ones and kill them too. So it's I remember reading a story that even the royals are cold-hearted, because they, as children, somebody mentioned it earlier, but they didn't mention the royals, but I want to throw this one in there. The royals are segregated from affection, and they put in cages, and they're not fed and all this kind of stuff to train them to be monarchs. And monarch, is that kind of a symbol to the butterfly? But so they are training people by deprivation, and they found out that young blood is purportedly able to extend life if you get a transfusion from a young person's blood, then you can live longer. So that's another reason they're using the young as well. So those are things I had that come into my mind.
Yeah, now it's interesting because when you said the young blood, I know some of y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. To show you how these fuckers are doing these rituals and also trying to make themselves last longer, because it is said that a lot of these folks that participate in these forms of mind control, or they go into these orders. Okay, let's start with that. They go into the orders and they start, moving up in the ranks. Now, I believe, this is just Rhonda, that it gets to the point where these demigods are taking over their vessel. Okay? Demigods run through physical bodies pretty quickly. So meaning that's where the cloning comes into play also. So they can keep jumping into different bodies or whatever. So I believe that some of these political officials had, demigods jumped in their body, and, once they were destroyed the body, the person was totally gone or dead or whatever, or maybe when they jumped in the body, they were dead, whatever. So that's one particular theory. But back to the blood stuff, these fucking celebrities are literally going around giving themselves blood facials. So now they fucking claiming, and that's goddamn Kardashian whore was the first one that I saw talked about it, where supposedly they're taking their own blood and they're using it as a facial because, that, keeps your skin so beautiful, this, that, and the other, instead of eating right and fucking exercising. You claim you eat right and exercise, so why do you need to put blood on your face? Useful. And so, again, that is a form of ritual that they are showing you. Because recently I saw where Lee Daniels talked about, that's how he keeps his skin so pretty, is that he does these blood facials. And then I immediately said, okay, well, I already knew that you was in the order, but thank you for fucking putting it out there that that's what you're doing. You're participating in rituals. So I just want to put that out there. That was very interesting, you bringing up about using the children, using their blood for the energy.
Yeah, that's what they're saying they're doing, and that's how they're living longer. They say the science is supporting it, from what I understand. But they have been doing it for years prior to the science.
Yeah, and I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
But the word, the script says life is in the blood. And so they took that literally.
Yeah, but it's interestingly enough, I saw this somewhere. I don't know where the hell I saw it at. And damn, I can't remember the source. This one lady, I think was on her YouTube channel. I can't think of her name. It's a melanated lady, but she tracks all of the celebrities, and she looks out for all of these signs with them being in the occult, and looks out for signs or hints of them either being cloned, under mind control. She told a story that supposedly somebody told her that, and I think it was Keisha Coles, that they had saw her at a book signing. And she was very pretty, this, that, and the third, really nice, a lot of blah, this, they, skippy, woo. So the person, after they saw her at the book signing about a month or two later, one of this person's friend is a general contractor. And so he called her up and was like, blah, blah, aren't you a fan of Keisha Coles, this, that, and the third? And the lady was like, yeah, I saw her at that book signing a couple of months ago. He said, well, I just got a call. And this was when she was married to her husband, the basketball player, which now they claiming is gay, all of that. I don't know if that shit is true. But anyhow, I just got a call to do some work out at their house. Do you want to come with me? And she said, yeah, I want to come. So her and the man went over to their house to do this particular work. And so they rang the doorbell, and this old woman answered the door. They said the woman looked like she was late 40s, 50-something. And so they asked, for Keisha. And the old-looking lady said, yeah, that's me. And they said, well, we're looking for, and said her name again. And the lady said, that's me. And so now I don't know if this story is true. I'm just saying what this lady claimed up on her YouTube channel. So supposedly she looked really, really old. So the point I'm trying to make is what they are showing you in front of these cameras, or when you see people in person or whatever, that's only a facade for so long. But because a lot of these entertainers are involved in all of this satanic shit, that they are literally, their life's essence has been sucked out of them. So either their life essence has been sucked out of them and they're just a shell, or they have totally been replaced. So meaning their soul is like totally gone out of that vessel, and some other entity is living within them, some other demigod. And as I stated earlier, demigods cannot last long in the flesh. They deteriorate the flesh pretty rapidly. So I just thought that story was interesting as well. Okay. All right, so we are now going to get into the music side of the house, and we're going to talk about how the entire music industry is built on secret society, mind control programming. So those of you that are in the chat room, if you want to continue with us, we're probably going to go in overtime. We only have about 13 minutes. You're going to have to dial in on the phone if you want to continue listening in overtime. And the phone number is 929-477-3858. You have about 13 minutes. That phone number is 929-477-3858. The video series that I'm going to get in, I'm going to play the first one, and we're going to come back and chop it up. And it's by your boy that you mentioned earlier, sis. Where the hell is the name? It is, oh shit, I can't find it right now. Let me see. It is, I called it Mind Control in Music. Okay, so I'm going to play part one. It's about 14 minutes long, and then we'll come back and chop it up.
There are still people in the world, particularly in the UK, that think Russell Brand is some kind of genuine representative for critical thinking truth seekers everywhere. And they seem to think that Russell Brand is here to help us and save us and lead us. These pictures tell a different story. When it comes to red flags about Russell Brand, I could do an entire day's presentation on that alone. Anyone that still thinks Russell Brand is the real deal, I really don't know what to tell you. Okay, so we're sticking with a form of symbolism and also a form of sigil magic, and we're getting into the realms of what is known as predictive programming. And this is the placement of visual clues and visual symbols which depict an event which is yet to occur. It's encoded into works of popular culture, such as films, TV shows, videos, cartoons, and it is an encoded way of announcing something which is yet to occur. And there have been so many examples of this in recent years, and particularly in recent months. The rate is really being stepped up. And for every major terror, in inverted commas, event, or every false flag hoax using actors, because we get quite a lot of those these days, there will have been some work of popular culture which has foreshadowed what is to come. And people would ask, how can this be? Well, if the same forces ultimately that are directing these events and causing them to occur are the same forces that control the entertainment business, then you can understand how these symbols and these clues can be inserted into these works. So we'll look at a few examples, and then I'm going to give my view as to why I think it's happening. This was a scene from the Batman Dark Knight movie, and there's a scene in it where they're looking at a map of Gotham City, and for a split second you see the word Sandy Hook, the name Sandy Hook. Not sure if you can see it on this slide, but that's what it says. In the earlier Batman movie, it was pointed out that they were also looking at a map of Gotham City, and it didn't say Sandy Hook for that particular region. It said South Hinckley. So for this movie, the place name was changed to Sandy Hook. And this movie was released just a few months before the shooting, or not, at the elementary school in Sandy Hook, Connecticut. What a coincidence. When it comes to 9/11, there are YouTube videos that go on for 25 minutes, consisting of clips of movies, TV shows, videos that have foreshadowed the events of September 11, 2001. I've just selected a couple, but there are many, many more that you can find. This was from the movie Independence Day, and you see this clock counting down, and there just happens to be a split-second frame where you see 9/11-01. This is from the first Matrix movie, which was released in 1999, and it's the character Neo's passport, and it has an expiry date on it. And the expiry date just happens to be 11th of September 01. And now we get some examples from the music industry. This is a record sleeve from the British rock group Supertramp, and it's for an album called Breakfast in America, and it came out in 1979. And on the sleeve, you get a view from an aeroplane window going over Manhattan. There's the Manhattan skyline, there's the Twin Towers, and there's the Supertramp logo going across the top of the picture. Somebody worked out, I don't know who, and I don't know how they ever come across these things, but somebody did. They worked out that if you reverse the image, make a mirror image of it, something interesting happens. Now, where you have the name Supertramp in reverse, the two characters at the end appear to be making a 9 and an 11, and they're positioned directly above the two Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. This was 1979. This was a little known hip-hop album, wasn't a big hit, from a group that's not too well known, called The Coup. It was from an album called Party Music, and it was released in June 2001 with this original sleeve. And it depicts the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center exploding exactly the way they did 3 months after the album was released. And Boots Riley, the guy there, the front man of the group, is said to have designed the sleeve. And he said that it was designed to be a statement against capitalism. And he said that, when the events of September 11th happened, he was shocked at how this album seemed to foreshadow it. So who knows what the true story is there, but a very interesting sleeve to have come out at that point. And there's a more accurate rendering of what probably went on. This is Michael Jackson's Blood on the Dance Floor album. Interesting title, interesting Masonic checkerboard floor going on, interesting red suit, colours of Saturn, but don't have time for all that. In the background, you've got a city crumbling to dust, which looks very similar to Manhattan. This is the Amazon page for Jay-Z's iconic Blueprint album. And at the top there, you can see the date on which it was released. And the date just happens to be September 11th, 2001. What were the chances? September 11th, 2001 was a Tuesday. Most albums are released on a Monday. For some reason, this one was put out on this date. And a more recent example, a video from the rapper, it says here, Lil Wayne. Not my idea of a rapper, but maybe I'm getting old. And this was for a video for a song called My Home Is Still. It's a classic, look it up. And there's a scene in the video where he's in a movie theatre and he's surrounded by 12 skeletons. And this video was released a few days before 12 people, we're told, were shot, we're told, in a movie theatre in Aurora, Colorado. What a coincidence. So, this predictive programming, it doesn't matter whether the event in question happened the way we were told it did, because many of these events are false flag hoaxes, or they're staged using actors, but either way the intention is the same, which is to foreshadow what they know is to come. I'll explain that more in a while. I did just want to give you a little lyric from that Lil Wayne record. Thought you might enjoy it. This is the sort of stuff that the kids are getting down to these days, This is hip-hop in 2012, 2015. I'm sure it's great wisdom being communicated. One thing I do find interesting is the line, I've got to put that patch over my third eye. I think that's probably happened. And then the chorus is, don't make my goons go stupid, go stupid, go stupid, which clearly you will if you listen to too much of this. Okay. This is a brilliant simplification of the central tenets of natural law. I love this. Really sums it up. Do no harm, but take no shit. It's the moral code of the universe set into place by the creative force behind the universe. I learned all my stuff about natural law from the work of Mark Passio, as I'm sure many of us did. And it's called many other things. It's known as universal law sometimes. Some people refer to it as karmic law, the law of cause and effect. But whatever the name, the principle is the same. It's consequentialism. Every action has a reaction. And we are bound by this. And the free will choices that we make and the behaviours that we take come with consequences, whether they're positive or negative. So you can expect to reap the consequences for the decisions you make. And here it is in slightly extended form. It's the non-aggression principle, the sacred feminine, which is the do no harm bit, and then the self-defense principle, the sacred masculine, take no shit. And put another way, do not treat others in a way you would not like to be treated yourself. It's a very simple truth. I can't help thinking that if everybody in the world were to observe it and live their lives by it, then it's a better deal for everyone. The world changes overnight, and humanity has a whole different experience to what it's having right now. But there doesn't appear to be anywhere near the level of understanding of this that there needs to be. But I believe, as do many other researchers, that the dark occultists, the dark magicians that are pulling the strings of the music industry understand this, and they understand that they are bound by it the same as everyone else is. What we are talking about, however, is psychopaths who are mentally ill, and they have a very skewed and twisted and warped interpretation of this and of how it applies to them. And I believe in their madness, they feel they can cheat the karmic consequences of natural law if they tell us what they're doing and what they plan to do. But they do it in a very deceptive, duplicitous, underhand kind of way, which is why they slyly encode it into things like movies, music videos and such. The general public is picking up on these things when it watches the movies, when it watches the videos, but it's going straight into the subliminal mind, because these symbols are the language of the subliminal mind. There's a great quote from the researcher and filmmaker Jay Weidner, and he says, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a symbol is worth 1,000 pictures. And as we've heard from a couple of talks this weekend, they're looking to target the subliminal mind all the time and plant images and plant ideas in it below the threshold of the conscious mind, because it has a very powerful effect on people's behaviours. And so I think that's why they're doing this. I think there are other reasons as well. One of them is that by encoding a depiction of something that they know is to come, an event that they plan to pull off into a work of popular culture, when that goes into the subliminal mind of large numbers of people, it creates a kind of familiarity with the event which is yet to happen. So that when it does, the subconscious mind is kind of recalling the fact that it's seen an element of it already, and it's more readily absorbed and more readily accepted into these people's minds. And another reason why predictive programming and all these symbols is done is because what's actually happening is it's a magic ritual which is taking place. It's all to do with some manipulation of energy, and you hear the phrase, energy goes where attention flows. And it's a two-way exchange of energy and attention. When you're watching one of these movies or one of these videos, the symbol is coming at you, your attention is going back to it, and on an unseen level, you're helping to empower it, and you're helping this magic ritual to take place, because it requires a participant, it requires a two-way exchange. So that's why I think we're seeing so many examples of this. There's another way in which symbols and ideas are implanted into the public consciousness. Besides the visual element, there's the audible element. And this is where we get into the very interesting area of backmasking. Subliminal messages in audio recordings. There have been suggestions of this going on for decades.
Okay, so that video, and I'll play a little bit more of it after we chop it up a little bit, but it's a very, very good video. This is Sis by Mark Devlin, but this one is Mind Control, Manipulation of Mainstream Music. So I'll pause in case one of y'all want to put something on it. If not, I could go into part 2 and then come back. We can come back and chop it up.
Yeah, but as I stated earlier, it also has to do with the frequency in which the music is being played at. Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
if people even look at the structure of songs, thing that most people remember first about a song is the hook.
Mhm.
It's a simple chant.
Mhm.
And you put yourself in the spell.
Right.
You're opening yourself up to outside entities. I mean, you're constantly being put into a chant. I mean, you could start off not liking the song, but it's being forced on you. They put it in rotation so that it's being programmed into you. And before you know it, you're sitting up saying the song or bobbing your head to it. And you're saying to yourself, I do not like this song. Why am I sitting up here listening to it?
Exactly. Very good point, brother. And when we did the show on vibration, frequency, and sounds, we went over how everything is vibration, and even sounds have a particular vibration, and we went into how they changed the musical scale to a lower vibration frequency. And they, did that on purpose to keep everyone resonating at a lower frequency. And specifically, once we came kind of out of the 70s with like Earth, Wind, and Fire, had, high vibrational vibes. They even threw a lot of symbolism in their music, trying to really spark everyone's memory to wake them back up to those ancient sciences. The music industry started to shift. And then we had rap come into play, and then rap was all about, happiness, going to a party, kicking it, this, that, and the third. And then that took a turn to gangster rap, and you heard you heard the difference in the music, and also you felt the different vibration in the music, and that's when you got them bass beats. And, going back to what Brother Sean was saying, you could be sitting there minding your business, and they could be MFing, SBing on the song, suck this, lick that, B-hole, MF this, but the hook and the beat, you just bob into it. But that is that spell that they are casting and keeping you in a certain vibrational state. And specifically with the younger folks, that's exactly what they want you to do and where they want you to be. Because if you take, and I think on one of the videos, and it may have even been this, it was this video, the clip we just played, he read Lil Wayne's lyrics, and they were just off the doggone chain. And he mentioned in there who Satan is to him and all of that jazz. Now, ideally enough, a real quick story about Lil Wayne. Let's talk about him. Lil Wayne, literally from a intelligent perspective, he tested in the genius level. Lil Wayne, they don't talk about this, but Lil Wayne was in honors classes in New Orleans. Literally, I know that for a fact. He was in honors classes, okay? So he came into the music industry quite young. I don't know if he was, 12, 13, something like that. So now stories are coming out saying that Birdman was messing with those boys, that he was molesting them, okay? So now that we're getting into this mind control and you are kind of seeing some of the patterns, could that be not the first start of Lil Wayne being brought into this world of mind control? Because if you just start breaking down Lil Wayne's lyrics today, it is riddled with Satanism. If you just look at him, matter of fact, somebody posted a picture of him either today or yesterday on Facebook. And I lie to you not. The man looks, I've seen 70-year-olds that look better than him in the face. It's literally like, and I'm talking, take away the tattoos and the ugly ass grill of teeth, the teethuses, gold teethuses up in his mouth. I'm talking about, look at the skin. He literally has the skin of an elderly person. So his life force or life essence is literally, it's either gone or it is being sucked out of him. So in my opinion, some type of demigod or whatever has a hold on this kid. But his particular life and movement into the industry is a classic example of taking these children, using them as sex rituals through the molestation, and then the process of mind control starts. So that's he is a perfect example of that. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it. If not, I'll go into the second video.
Yeah, but remember a while back on BET, Lil Wayne said that him and Birdman don't kiss nobody in the mouth but him, and kissed him on the show.
Yes.
I think that was right before he went to jail.
Yes, and that wasn't the first time that he kissed that man in his mouth. Because, he would do it on stage or whatever, and a lot of stories are coming out about Birdman as being gay, that it ain't no question of him supposedly and allegedly being bisexual. It's, coming out in a lot of back-end stories that he is literally gay. And so, I personally believe that he did molest that man as a boy, and it was the start of mind control.
BG Juvenile said that in the video.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just think of who else didn't Nicki Minaj come out of, I think Lil Wayne brought her into the circle. But she's still out of that Cash Money crew, and she clearly shows signs of MK Ultra or some type of mind control programming. So same difference.
So
Absolutely.
does Drake.
Now that's interesting. That's interesting about Drake. To be honest, I really don't know too much about him. I don't follow him closely. But what was Drake? Oh shit, we finna go in now. What club was Drake a part of as a young boy? He was a part of the Mickey Mouse Club. Let's get on them motherfuckers. Well, I have to bring that up early. Right. He was a part of the Mickey Mouse Club, Disney. Disney is known for making these children into stars, super mega pop stars, coming out of the Mickey Mouse Club, okay? You had Britney Spears come out of the Mickey Mouse Club. Drake came out of the Mickey Mouse Club. Justin Timberlake came out of the Mickey Mouse Club. Christine Aguilera came out of the Mickey Mouse Club, and probably a host others. Those that I just named, they are mega pop stars, meaning Drake is a mega rap star, but you could still say shit, he's really pop too, okay? So now the alleged supposed rumor is, and you can find a lot of this also when you start researching MK Ultra, is that goddamn Disney is riddled with mind controlling these children. So taking them as children, starting the mind controlling process, and part of that process is the sexual abuse / sexual ritual. And, you know, they groom them and mind control them into what they want them to be. And you can see the progression quite clear with the girls, because they start them out as that bubblegum pop star. And I think Miley Cyrus' ass came out of that crew too. You know, they start the girls out as this bubblegum pop star, and then once she reaches the quote womanhood age, start to really mature into her womanly shape, then she all of a sudden turns the whore. So meaning, let's think about this from a mind control programming perspective. Now that they have used their youthful energy for their purposes from the sexual perspective, now they are programmed. They're going into true puberty, so their energy has changed. Now they are formally a mind control slave, so they turn the women into the sex kittens. So that's when you see these mega pop star women that were once child stars turn into the whore image. That represents the sex kitten / sex slave. So very, very, very classic example. So I did not know that. I forgot that about Drake came up through that Mickey Mouse Club shit too. So yeah, of course he's a part of the programming.
Well, you know, Walt
I
Disney
think Miley Cyrus came up on Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon,
That's
yeah. So
another
them
one.
fuckers too. Yeah, them fuckers too. Yeah. Go ahead on, sis.
Walt Disney was rumored to be one of the main characters in converting the children when they went to the Disneyland scene, and some of the children became missing, and some of the children were molested, and pedophilia, whatever was going on. And he was one of the, if not the mastermind of it. That's what it was.
I mean, let's think about that. He rose to power and has this kingdom that still exists today. We know how stuff like that works. So wouldn't he have to be in some type of order?
Yes, he was.
And so those sexual rituals are a part of that order. Now, this is what's gonna fuck y'all up. Some of y'all may know this, because I'm thinking about Brother Kel bringing up the little Hitler stuff. There's this guy, this white brother. I think he does a good job, a Caucasian brother. Now, I don't agree with all of his findings, but some of them I be having my mouth open like, shit, he's dead on. Well, his name is Dallas Goldbug, and that's his I don't know what his nickname or whatever, but he has a site out called Well Aware One. Okay, and his site is dedicated to exposing all of these entertainers as well as political figures that play the role as actors. So in other words, you thinking that this person, that is really who they are, when that is just a role that they are playing. And a lot of these people play different roles. Okay, so what fucked me up, he showed where Disney was serving as Hitler's double. Now, according to him, Disney played the role of Hitler. You know, I don't know. He could have, to me, played a double of Hitler when they felt it necessary. And he even laid out some of the pictures where they were showing that this is supposedly Hitler's house, where they had changed the angle on the pictures, and it was actually one of Walt Disney's pictures. It was one of Walt Disney's homes. Okay, so I'm saying all that to say Walt Disney was in the business of creating magic, creating fantasies, and in all of the Disney movies, and even up to this day, they put a lot of symbolism in there, a lot of satanic symbolism, a lot of occult symbolism with shapes and visions and stuff. And there has been people that have analyzed the frame by frame of those cartoons, and they found a riddle of sexual connotation within those frames in the cartoons. And this goes way back. So, yes, a very good point. Walt Disney was truly into the Brotherhood Order, into a secret society. So that would not shock me that he allowed an MK Ultra program to take place with the certain children in the Mickey Mouse Club that they felt they wanted to become stars.
The thing is, he was more or less a high priest. He was high-ranking in the Masonic Order.
He was high-ranking.
He was writing those spells that were being put on the children in his programs. That whole Fantasia thing, he wrote that.
Yeah. And if anybody watches that, I'm sitting there like, all this shit is about casting spells on motherfuckers. This is what this whole cartoon is about. And to me, they didn't even try to hide it.
Mm-mm.
Mickey Mouse casting spells. And that's exactly what that Disney organization is all about, and what that Mickey Mouse Club is all about. Picking out which children that they are going to mind control and make into the next super mega stars.
Mm-hmm. Dirty rats.
Yep. Absolutely. So these parents that turn their children over into in this industry, they have got to be out of their goddamn mind. That it's just, you hear so many stories of these. That's why you hear so many stories. And publicly, a lot of these child stars don't make it. I think because they go crazy from the programming. They just they break down. They can't take it anymore. And a lot of them stars, former child stars, come out and say that they were molested as a child, woo, this, that, and the third. That's all a part of that programming. And it just still blows my mind to this day that these parents, go for their child being a part of this sick-ass industry. It still just fascinates me to this day that they'll even go along with that.
And see, that's all part of the MK Ultra programming. Your kid can be a star. Anybody can do it. You can make it. Anybody can make it. You can have big money. You can be famous. It's the whole brainwashing thing in pursuit of materialism, in pursuit of the quote-unquote American dream. Exactly.
That's true. 727, I'm coming to you. Interestingly enough, I know I've said this before on the show, but what made me come to mind to show you how deep this shit is and how it runs through the families from a generational thing. You all know Nicole Kidman, right? And you know how she used to be married to Tom Cruise, who's big time into the Scientology shit, which to me, that's a whole nother form of programming within itself. and they use a lot of the sciences too. But here's the deep thing about her. It's not widely publicized, but her biological father was brought up on charges. I can't remember if he was convicted of molestation, of being a pedophile. And so when I saw this article and I'm reading it, and I said, oh, shit, this makes sense. Because this woman is in the industry. And what movie did Nicole Kidman play in? That
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. And I put the connections together. I'm like, shit. So she grew up in, seeing those secret society rituals, and she got probably in the industry through her father being in some type of secret society. So I found that very, very interesting to put that connection together with her father being on trial for pedophilia and her whole connections to the industry, who she was married to, etc. So let me go to 727.
Hi, it's Cheryl. I'm back again. You were talking about Disney, and I just wanted to interject that I personally have been in their underground.
What?
There's an underground city in Orlando, Florida, and I'm sure there's one in California also. That's underneath Disney. And
I've heard of that. I didn't know if it was
we were not able to go. Now, they have a parade at midnight, and then Tinkerbell comes down the wire. There's some lady from New York. They pay her just to slide down on that lever every night. And at midnight is when all of this satanic stuff goes on. I wouldn't take my children there. Where you have children that are missing, they're underground, and they have these rituals. They have sex with the little boys and girls. They're sacrificed when it's satanic holidays and all. There were certain places that I couldn't go, but I have been underground.
Wow. So there really is an underground.
I took a part-time job with them. My, I won't say what my stage name. Everybody goes with a stage name. And as part of that, in knowing, everything, I had to visit the underground city. And it's a sovereign incorporated city that's separate from Orlando. They have their own police department. They have their own fire department, their own water system. Everything is separate from anything else in the area. But the midnight parade, and when Tinkerbell comes out of the castle, that is the start of all of their nightly rituals and all.
Whoa. Damn. Well, you confirmed that underground, because that was the rumors that they had underground tunnels and shit, and that's where
There's a complete city that's underneath Disney. And you're right about the Musketeers. All of them have had success, but they're in our eyes for a particular reason. And they come out as very innocent children. And then as they get to about 19 or 20, that's when they go into the sex, being very sexual. You mentioned Miley Cyrus. She seems to have lost her mind. What's the young girl from the Cosby Show? And she was connected with Disney.
Oh,
she was
Simone.
Young child,
Raven.
not
Raven.
Rudy. Raven. Right. Right. She's also a product of that.
Yeah, because she came out of Nickelodeon.
Which I thought she was connected with Disney also.
She might
her
be.
show was on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I just remember
Nickelodeon.
Okay,
yeah.
I remember her from Nickelodeon.
Okay, she's with Nickelodeon.
Wow.
But they're all part of the same Knights of Malta and, you know, the Illuminati and all. Paris Hilton, Madonna, they all came out of Disney.
Yeah, and Madonna
too.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan. She had a breakdown. Yeah, she had a breakdown. Her programming broke down, and Madonna is a high-ranking priestess.
Right.
And she showed you that at the Super Bowl when she came out in that doggone Baphomet outfit.
Yes.
But she's a high-ranking priestess.
She's high-ranking. They all seem to, when they get around the age 30, early 30s, they have a breakdown.
Mhm. That makes sense.
Well, I had heard that Walt was high-powered in that stuff, so I guess what you're saying is true, because I had heard that.
They're all part of the same Germanic family.
Yes.
We don't know. They changed their names.
Right.
You talked about John Kerry and George Bush being sheriff. John Kerry's name is Corn. You know, even Gerald Ford, his real name was Lynch. Bill Clinton's real name is not Clinton. He was supposed to be born William Jefferson Blythe. We don't know who these people are.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. They're playing a certain role, so the persona that they put up, that is not their true background.
Right.
Absolutely.
They're all actors. We're living in illusion.
Yep. Absolutely.
Crisis actors.
Yeah, crisis. You're right. Crisis actors. As a matter of
fact,
Disney, that guy that I was telling you about, that Well Aware one, he linked his lineage back to the Nazis. Yep. Makes
sense.
For Bush? No, for Disney. Walt Disney.
Okay, Walt himself, and his brother.
Yeah. Yep, and his brother. Yeah, he linked them back to the Nazis.
Right. That's correct.
And they all supported Hitler.
Well, Hitler was one of the Rothschild children. His mother had been a servant for, was it a mayor?
A maid, one of his maids.
Right. And then they groomed him for positions.
Mm-hmm.
They groomed them all.
Yep.
They're all connected.
Yep. They have to be to sit in that seat. Makes sense. Well, wow, sis. Thank you for that. You confirmed about that underground stuff at Disney.
Yeah, I've personally been there. That was something I had to go into Orlando, and I'd been underground several times. But there were also certain doors that they didn't allow me to go into. But after I started learning about the whole Disney program and all, it came to me that this is where they go in and have their banquets, and they are committing, the sodomy and the pedophilia and all that other stuff, and children are being sacrificed, and they're drinking blood and whatever they're doing. Another ritual was the other night, May 1st, which was a high satanic holiday, with that Met Gala. And that Marina, what's her last name? She is a high priestess with them. Abramovich.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes. I know
She's been in charge of that. She draws and cooks with blood, and she's associated with the Pizzagate.
They call it,
and all.
that's the spirit cooking lady, right?
Right.
And hasn't she been photographed with a lot of these quote top celebrities?
Yes, like Lady Gaga and
Jay-Z's ass too.
Swift. Is it Katy Perry and what's
Katy
the other
Perry.
girl's name? Swift. Something Swift.
Taylor Swift. And remember, I talked about her being initiated Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
But
yeah,
that was another ritual on May the 1st, and they serve pizza and pasta and 3 walnuts on everybody's plate. And she is a close friend to Elefantis and Hillary Clinton and the rest of them.
They've all been photographed with her.
Yeah, but that Met Gala has been a ritual for several years now. And it's only by invitation. And then they contribute. This year, I think it was $30,000 everybody paid.
Wow.
Well, a lot of
this.
A lot of this stuff goes back a long time ago to Benjamin Franklin, because Benjamin Franklin was a part of the Hellfire Gang, and that was the royals over in Britain, where they would just get together and gang rape one of the girls or boys out of the villages, and then they give the kids, the parents, a little bit of money to keep them happy, and some of them even sacrifice the children. Where they did rituals back in the day. So Benjamin Franklin was part of that Hellfire group.
Yeah, well, none of that surprises me, because hopefully what people are getting out of this particular show, the reason I wanted to do the show, and this is not about fear tactics at all, because I'm totally the opposite. The reason I wanted to do this show, because I want us to be aware of the media, these celebrities, these public figures that they put in front of you, the politicians. It's all an illusion.
Right.
It's all an illusion. They are all connected to these particular satanic groups or high societies, however they want to so-and-so put them. It's all satanic at the end, and they're using the high science magic to keep things going. Now, it's starting to break down now and not working because of where we are as far as moving to into higher vibrations, but nonetheless, they're still putting this stuff before us, and the masses still worship these people.
Yeah.
And it's totally not what they think.
Well, another thing too, when that man Tompkins was talking, they were talking about they went over into Egypt and robbed the pyramids and the sphinxes and all that kind of stuff, and brought back some of the artifacts of King Tut and his throne and all that kind of stuff, and they were trying to decipher the hieroglyphs. So this is where they start getting all their information from on the magic spells and all the stuff they're using now, because they have pictures. This guy have a book, I forget the name of the book, that he wrote, and with pictures of them with Egyptian artifacts, our ancestors' stuff. And so this is how they got a hold of this stuff. They went and they didn't rob that place.
Well, that's another subject also, because the Egypt that is presently in Africa is not the Egypt. We are in Egypt.
That's
right. We're in
Lower Egypt. South America is Upper Egypt. And that's another reason why the military controls the Grand Canyons.
Right, because it's buried there. Moses is
right.
There
are a lot of artifacts and gold and temples and everything that's there in the Grand Canyons that they do not want us to know about. They want us to think that Egypt is over, across the sea.
The Middle East.
And we're already in Egypt.
Right.
And I'm just going to say, and then I'm going to bring on another caller. I just want to be clear. because I want to be very, very clear. They may have sold stuff, but trust and believe, they did not magically figure that shit out.
No.
The melanated, disagreeable demigods gave them what they wanted them to know with those sciences.
That's right.
They didn't just go over in them caves or temples and get that stuff and decipher it. They were brought into the order. They are using the Caucasians as the front to run the planet. It is a front.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, nothing moves on this planet without the melanated consent.
That's true.
That's true.
It's a spiritual battle.
I agree.
It takes a God to rule a God. It takes a God to take down a God.
And that's the reason why we are feared and we're hated, because everybody knows who we are but we, ourselves.
But us.
Isn't that a shame?
But us. Racism is an illusion. It's a front.
Right. All of it.
It is a front. So, okay, thank you so much.
Peace and love.
Okay, peace and love. Thank you. Ooh, I'm glad she came on. Let me open up 661. Okay, 661, your line is open. Hey, how you doing? I can hear you.
I don't know if you muted me or not, but what I wanted to say, I went to Disneyland when I was about 18 years old, and we went to one of those tunnels, and I had a fear of anxiety. It was almost to the point where I was like, there's some wicked stuff going on over here. I picked up the energy, and this is in California.
Yep.
I picked up the energy. Yeah, I picked up the energy, and I never wanted to go. I've never been back to Disneyland ever since that day. I don't even want to step a foot in that place. I don't know why. I was telling one of the students I went to school with when it was our graduation night. I was telling him, man, there's something wrong with this place. I have real bad vibes about it, and I got a sense of anxiety over me, and I had to leave. I didn't even want to even go any more rides. I didn't want to talk to any more people. And people thought I was crazy, but I had a sense that something wasn't right.
Right.
You know, so whatever the sister's saying, I agree, because I done seen some videos, some symmetry, how they created certain images out of women's vaginas, men's penises.
They
created the
freeze frame. Yep. Them steals of them cartoons. Yep.
Yeah. And also seeing, the seven doors when she was in the bed with all the men. They were trying to tell us that the seventh circle, and then they were trying to put some pedophilia, perverted stuff in there, that she was sleeping with all these seven doors, and all these little hidden messages. And I never wanted to be bothered with Disneyland ever again.
Yeah. It certainly, once I start learning all of that, and when you know what to look for, I'm like, they don't ever have to worry about me again. Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
But what she went into some good detail. That was some good information.
Yeah, she confirmed it, because I've heard that rumor about the Orlando one, so she straight confirmed it.
Yeah, I used to work like security, work for little side security jobs when I was younger, and this gentleman came to me. He was a military man, and I'm just a security guard. And he said, yeah, you know, there's underground cities all through the United States.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
You will never know where they're at. He said there's a pipeline all the way from Canada to Great Britain that runs, and they go underground and do their bidding. It almost reminded me of that. And so when she mentioned that they have an underground city under Disney, I said, see, I knew something wasn't right about this place.
Yep.
I knew
it makes sense. Makes sense. And a matter of fact, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I see why they have all those video cameras when you go on those rides underneath, and they always keep it in darkness when you go in there.
Oh, that's a good point.
And then you hear all that singing and chanting in the background. I said, there's something wrong with this stuff. This ain't normal. And you can hear all those voices. It's almost like they're trying to bring Satanism through song.
Oh, yeah, well.
You know, like, you know, when you get on the rides and you're like, and they go through all those songs. And Disneyland is a no-show, no-go.
Yeah.
But when the man, let me get back to the other story. He said that he had to go all the way to Iran, and he was in the 70s, and he was the one that had to go in there and free some of our soldiers that were trapped and stuck in Iran, and he was not able to work any jobs physically because his hands were classified as deadly. So he had an actual secret clearance to underground cities, and New York City has one. That's why that so-called bomb that Russia was going to let off if Clinton became president, they were going to go after the underground city, and they couldn't do it. They wouldn't let that out because all of everything would pour out on the streets, and people find out that there's cities underground, and a lot of people don't know anything about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we were talking about Atlanta earlier with the sinkholes, and I forgot that there was a documentary on Atlanta where Atlanta sits on top of the original Atlanta. And they literally have train tracks down there. I can't remember who did that documentary. It may have been PBS. So that's another reason Atlanta is having sinkholes as well, because it literally sits on top of a city. And it was said, I think by Bobby Hemmett, that when a lot of the homeless were coming up missing, that a lot of folks were saying that they were taking people away with trains underground.
Right, they were going to the underground city. They had messengers walking around picking up bums and taking them to the underground city, and more likely they will probably reprogram them. Say, for instance, that movie about the Hive. What's that movie called? You know what movie I'm talking about? Where they had the cities underground, and they had that voice that kept talking to them and viewing them. They had the toxic chemicals. And so what they did, they released all the zombies on the planet, but while they operated their business underneath the cities.
Yeah, I think too it was organ harvesting and experiment, because you know Atlanta has the CDC also.
Right.
So you know it's no telling. But I'm gonna thank you, brother, for putting something on it. I have two more callers, so I do want to get to 980 and then 404. I see you in the queue as well. But thank you, brother, for calling back in and put something on it.
Okay.
Okay, peace and love. Okay, let me go to 980. 980, your line is open.
Greetings. How are you?
I am so well, sis. How you doing, beloved?
I'm good. Been rocking with y'all, just sitting back listening. I want to put my little 2 cents on it.
Absolutely.
Well, I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, and everybody knows that the Marine Corps, they are the most, when you talk about mind control, it is a journey. It is definitely a journey. I mean, it's been times where they tried to program me. However, I was a little bit stronger than that, and they know the ones that do. They know who they can program, who they can't program. When my son came back from Afghanistan, we had to deprogram him because he was truly, everything was like, kill this. He said he heard voices. The TV was talking to him. The cell phone was talking to him. So they wanted to put him on meds, but instead of me letting them medicate him, we actually have a therapist in Charlotte, and that's what she does. She deprograms vets. So we would actually deprogram my son. Even the hospitals. I worked in a hospital for 16 years. Don't let the hospitals fool you. They do a lot of programming in there. They use mind control. They use those medications. They have these programs on the TV now. And another thing that they're doing that you didn't really touch on, in these inner cities, they have these trees where they're fake trees that are on these poles. And if you look up, you'll see them. And what they do, if you pay attention during the holidays, they start sending out these signals, and people start acting crazy during the holidays. And it's because of those signals. And even with the cell phones, it's like sometimes you could turn your cell phone off, and then you wake up and your cell phone is back on. So they're using so many different ways to get at us. So you definitely, but there are ways that you can protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Talked about it. He said get them vinyl records. And I noticed with my house, another thing, watch out for those smart meters that they putting on the houses. Because when I had that smart meter put on my phone, not my phone, my house, I had headaches every day. Every day I had a headache. And I happened to listen to a lecture from Ozar, and he said get a vinyl record. Once I put a vinyl record in every room in my house, I stopped getting those headaches. So they're coming at us.
Yeah, which is the reason why they moved us off vinyl also.
Right. So it is, we just got to keep getting this information out there because a lot of people think this stuff ain't real. A lot of people are so afraid, but we also got to let them know there are ways to protect yourself. I always have a crystal around my neck, and you don't even necessarily need a crystal. You could just make your mind strong enough. That's how I made it 20 years. People look at me and be like, how did you do 20 years and you come out who you are? That's because I had a strong mind. When they took me in those rooms and start telling you this stuff over and over and over again, I would tell them, I don't want to hear that bullshit, So I got thrashed a lot. And finally when they find out that they can't break you, they leave you alone and they move on to the next weaker person. But definitely an awesome show. Love the information. Keep on doing what you're doing. And I'm definitely going to rock with you. I got to be to work 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still hanging with you. I'm like,
Man. Well, sis, you sent me something special, right?
Yes, I did. And I was so amazed by the things you did. Let me tell you, I was sitting there, and Shay said, Mom, and for those of you that don't know who Shay is my daughter that transitioned back in September. She said, Mom, you know that box that's sitting in the room? I said, yes. She said, send it to your new friend. I said, she called you Miss L because she was all into the Moors. She was more for life. That was her life.
Wow.
I said, Miss L, what are you talking about? She said, Elmo. It's Truth Uncompromised. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, let me get her address. So I had no clue what that box was going to mean. I sent the box. She said, Mom, just wrap the box up. Don't ask no questions. Just get her address, send the box. So when you came on Facebook and said the things that you said, it blew me away.
I'm telling you, family, she sent the box to me, and I'm not going to reveal the contents because I was told in the spirit world, I said, I'm going to take a picture of this. Spirit world told me no. I'm going to try to take the MF picture anyway. I physically took the picture twice. To this day, that picture did not show up on my phone. I said, okay, I got it in my bag. I'm not going to take a picture of it. I opened up the box and looked at the content, and I just bust out crying because what's in the box is stuff that I've been working with, and particularly in the spirit realm. She had no clue. And I'm still not even telling you all what I was working on. I did not talk to sis about what was going on. So I was just telling her I have been working on this, and that's what she told me. Well, my daughter told me to send it to you. I'm like, wow. So I stopped, and I started thanking her daughter, telling her, I'm just ever so grateful. Thank you, beloved, blah, 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 blah. So then sis comes back to me and said, oh, yeah, my daughter just told me that you're thanking her. I said, hell no. Bust out crying again. I'm like, whoa. So, yeah, that's
my baby, Shay.
I'm like,
that's my baby.
Whoa, she is powerful. Whoa, So that's what happened. So I know, sis, that you do these boxes for folks, and I know you had told me that before, that when you do it for folks, you don't particularly ask them, because you didn't ask me what I wanted. You just told me I got something to send you, and it was right on point, and it just blew my mind away. And I'm literally looking at it now. It's sitting on my altar. It was a very beautiful experience.
Thank you. One of your friends reached out to me tonight, and she was like, I need a box. I said, you know what? I knew somebody through you was trying to reach me, and she found it. We haven't connected yet, but I will connect with her. I will.
Okay, and she's texting me now, and she's like, yeah, while you're speaking, she's getting the beeping tones in her ear, so that's interesting.
Wow.
So, thank you again, sis. Thank you, Shay. I had a nice little conversation with your baby. She's powerful. She's bad. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, she loves you. She was like, tell her hey, Ma. She is just so powerful.
She hit that one out the park. I mean, everything in the box, sis, and I just finally figured out last night what one of the other pieces meant, and I'm just speechless.
Wow. And I have had that box. It's like, it was just sitting there. She said, Mom, give it a box. I'm like, what box? She said, a box in the room. And I go in there, I said, this box? She said, yeah, that box. I said, okay. So I was like, let me just get her address. And like I said, you blew me away when you told me what you told me. I was like, wow.
Yep.
But this is what I experience all the time, though, all the time. I just made a box for another sister, and it was funny because a frog wanted to be in that box. I was like, okay, frog, you had nothing to do with this box. The frog, I would take the frog out the box, get up in the morning, the frog was back in the box. I just got off the phone with her about 2 hours ago. Her mother, not frog, turtles. Her mother, I guess somebody want a frog in a box somewhere. I'm working on another box. Her mother used to have live turtles, and she showed me her mother's collection of turtles. I had no way of knowing this. She never told me that. But when I showed her the box, she just started crying. I'm like, what's wrong? And she was like, that turtle, my mother loved turtles. And it happens all the time. All the time. I'm like, okay.
I'm a witness to it, because we did not discuss it. You had no idea.
Not at all.
No idea. And everything on that inside the box, even on the outside of the box, that's part of my mantra to my business, Truth Uncompromised, love, live, and be. You know what's on that box.
I know.
Even the picture meant something. I'm like,
wow.
Well, it was quite deep. So thank you again, sis. Thank you, baby girl, Shay. It is. I'm still honored and speechless.
Not a problem. It was my pleasure. I'm glad it brought you joy and all that other good stuff. Whenever I hear stories like that about my boxes, it makes me feel so good.
Okay, so how can people reach out to you if they want to connect with you to get a spiritual box?
They can hit me on Facebook under Corley Taliba. My phone number, most people call me. I don't have a problem giving it out. It's 252-622-9867, or if you don't have a problem, they could come through your page on Truth Uncompromised, and I'll definitely come over there. I do have a box on a page on Facebook called Spiritual Boxers by Kaliba. So, however, you know, and if you can't get to me, they could inbox me. I'm already at 5,000 friends, but most people, I will delete somebody to pull you into my crew.
Okay, and what I'll do then, sis, I'll post your page or whatever and your information on Truth Uncompromised page so folks can get at you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I know, family, we done ran out of time. I'm so sorry. We'll pick back up next week because it's more I wanted to talk about on some of the music industry, and then I also wanted to bring it more into the spiritual realm. So I'm probably going to split next week's show. We're going to conclude up mind control, and then we're also going to go into the show I want to do, what is your life's purpose? So that's what we're going to work on next week. I'm going to go with, let's see if folks had any last words. Sis, Sandra, you have any last words for the family?
Only thing I have to say, this has been absolutely fabulous.